Hello and welcome to episode 30 of the Pop Shock podcast. God, I sound excited about that, don't I?
30, feeling dirty.
I'm going to preface this episode just saying I've had 2 hours sleep and I've got a flu, so it's going to be pretty low energy for me. But I've got these 2 buzzing boys to make up for it because
I'm halfway buzzing. I'm like Goldilocks buzzing.
I'm just kind of woken up.
Speaking
So we're not really buzzing. I thought you were bringing the buzzing. No, I didn't know that.
Speaking of boys that bring the noise, Jerd noise, what's happening? Do you like that? That was good. That's the best my tire brain can do.
That was awful.
I liked it. I was like, where is it?
And Christopher Jameson, you buzzy boy. I can't come up with it for that one, man. Sorry. I was like, James
boy. The fluffy boy.
He's a fluffy boy.
I love that.
Yeah.
Are you doing the hangover? I was going to say something really bad. Oh, jeez.
Save it for the post show. I don't want to edit shit. I'm too tired. So, yeah. If you fucking for some reason watched last week and came back, you would have seen us. You would have heard us talk about the best movies of 2022, and we did intend in that episode of doing a full recap of everything from 2022. And as usual, we talked a lot of shite and we ran out of time.
3 hours.
So
barely got there. I went on rambles about comic books.
But do you know something? It wasn't what we intended, but I thought it was a good episode when I listened back to it. So I'll link it below. Go and listen to it. If you want to hear our best movies. But this week we're doing best TV and best games of 2022. See, for best games, I'm kind of thinking of expanding it from like games that came out in 2022 to just shit you played in 2022, if you want to.
Yeah, because I would have an awful lot for new games.
That's what I'm thinking. And even me that's been playing new games for like websites, they've a lot of shit. Like a lot of them haven't been good, so I'm not going to put them in best. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to put them in the best list. Like,
so again, the stars have aligned, and we can talk about Metal Gear Solid, right?
a different way into that. Yeah.
Praise Solid Snake, praise Leon Kennedy, praise Redfield.
That's all I know.
We're back.
Right, there we go.
The boys are back in town. But first, we're not doing news. There was a new Ant-Man trailer out. And there's Ubisoft stuff going on. We might touch on a wee bit of Rick and Morty related news when we go into what we've been watching. But yeah, we're just going to dive into what we've been watching. I've been watching a shit ton. Do you want me to go first? Do you want me to go last?
Please do.
Go first. Lead the charge.
Go first? Right. But there's sore throat here. Fun. Right. So, Rick and Morty, the late season premiered last year. I watched all of it except like the last 2 episodes, and I watched them during this week. And funnily enough, I literally finished the last episode the day before the Justin Roiland accusation came out. So I was ready. I'd already put it on this document here, this list of what I've been watching. I was ready to come on and sing its praises, like, Rick and Morty's great, really good season, strong season. Look forward to next season, blah blah blah. Hopefully, it won't be as much of a wait this time, And then.
We're never seeing Rick and Morty again.
Yeah, and then yes, pretty unsavoury stuff came out about Justin Roiland. It's all speculation and rumours at the minute. But
well, is it not so? Like we were kind of talking about it. When at first I just like we were saying like where it came up, it was 2020. How come it's only coming out now? I was thinking like maybe they were building a case and it needed kind of the word. I said quietness in the chat, but it's not what I meant.
Evidence?
I don't know what discretion, I guess, to maybe build a case, and they don't want to have it out in the news to influence it or blah blah blah. Sure. But apparently he pleaded not. I think it was not guilty, I think it was not guilty in 2020, and he was put out in like a $54,000 bail. Now I could have some of those exact details wrong, but. So he was charged, but he pleaded not guilty to that in bail. So it did, I guess, went through. But like, and also, as I was saying, like, you don't normally see like this seems to be on a kind of a fairly high route. It's like it's a felony charge. I think, Dan, were you saying that sometimes felony charges are just if you cross state lines?
I think I could.
That could be my house.
But I don't think it was me.
I think you can do that
does come into it. Yeah.
From my little understanding of it, If you can do something that can be really bad and you stay in that state, and that's a felony. But if you do another thing and you leave state lines, you're, I guess, viewed as trying to escape fucking punishment. So that's felony.
Yeah, it's like a light risk thing.
Yeah. So
Also, I mean, let's not go into accusations. It doesn't look great, but there was a time where Johnny Depp didn't look great, and that turned out the way it did. So let's just. I'd really like to reserve judgment until we hear more.
I mean,
that is true. I just think he's such an integral part to the show.
No, that's what I was just going to say.
It's generally, if stuff like this comes out and someone's in a fairly kind of left area, like most of their fans then don't like Arcade Fire, Louis C.K. It's like
Andrew Callan.
That's another one that came out yesterday. Someone commented on. He was this thing where doing this interview wearing an Ireland soccer hat. And me and some guy commented on this is like weeks ago going, oh, that's hilarious, like so funny. And then someone commented yesterday, yeah, that's so funny now that he's been accused. Like, that was like, we don't know that back then.
How you not predict that he was going to be? Anyway. But like you just said, I think that was kind of my issue watching the new season of Rick and Morty so close to that coming out. Normally, I'm one for separating the art from the artist. Like, this shit's horrible. It's unspeakable. It shouldn't go on. It should be charged. It should be done. Whatever. But all the horrible shit that Kevin Spacey done doesn't make his performance in Seven any less, incredible. It's I can still enjoy stuff.
Yeah, it depends.
They've done, even though in the back of my mind. But I think the issue here is a bit exaggerated because not only has Roiland been accused, but Dan Harmon's been accused of unsavory stuff in the past, and these are the two. Okay. These are the two writers, directors, and voice actors, showrunners on this whole show. So it's not just like Kevin Spacey's just an actor in a David Fincher movie. There's a bit of a disconnect there, or Harvey Weinstein's a producer, so you can, a movie he produced, he might have not, actually had that much to do with it, and you can kind of distance it and still say like, okay, it's horrible, all the shit that happened, but here it's so close to like this is. Rick and Morty really is Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon, and knowing the stuff or at least the things that are alleged, nothing's been proven yet. Just being careful not to incriminate ourselves. The alleged stuff, I think it's harder to distance the art from the artist when they're so
when there's a lot
integrated. And it's a shame because Rick and Morty is now a huge show with shit tons of people working on it that are talented. Like it's a shit time when some horrible prick brings everybody down with it.
That's true, like I was talking about that with my husband yesterday. I was like, the things with Dan Harmon, like what? I know at a certain point he came out and said I was really abusive in the past, but I kind of thought more it was in my understanding of it was more like was it in a relationship or was it in a working environment situation or? Like,
he actually came out with it.
Like, there's still community and stuff, and like he still seems to be well liked. So I don't know the situation.
I don't want to speak out of turn without looking it up. But from what I can recall, it was a working relationship. Sorry, it was a personal relationship.
Okay.
And then I think employees came out after that and said, "Oh, this happened to me as well." I think that's how. I can't go and Google that. Don't take my word for it. But I think that's how it went. And then there was also an old video from something he did way years ago where he was making fun of being a pedophile. The whole sketch was about him molesting babies. Again, that's on YouTube, and it's some of the most disgusting, shocking shit you've seen. It's not funny now. It probably wasn't funny when it was made. Like, it's just horrible. And you're like, why would you make that?
Older, I think, or
I don't shit. Like, I know bipolar people that don't make sketches about feeling.
I just think like say. Like even when he seems to be in a good place, he seems to be very
intense,
and
I mean, I think I'm not excusing it here at all. I'm not excusing any of it, but I do think it seems to be a thing. A pattern with Me Too, with all this shit. Creative people seem to be. I mean, for years we've known that creative people are like prone to be alcoholics. They've got an addictive personality, and now it seems like. Quite a lot of them are abusive as well. Like even directors you hear about, like Stanley Kubrick, might never actually assaulted anyone, but used to like slap Shirley. What's her name about during The Shining, like to get her to cry and stuff, like just horrible shit. So it's just creative people. Unfortunately, a lot of them happen to be abusive. Not that all of them are. Not that it's an excuse for them to be, but it's just a funny pattern, I think. and it's.
When I was watching, there's a fella there who's friends with Andrew Callahan, and like the way he was saying it was like it's more prevalent than like we see it about celebrities, but he was kind of talking about the culture of it and stuff. That, like it's just in general, not with celebrities, but just like it's kind of steeped in. There's a lot of like things people grow up thinking like, oh yeah, you know the chase, that kind of thing, and like
Jimmy Savile, Bill Cosby were beloved by audiences.
Well, I don't mean that now. I think more like
they did though, you know. They were.
Oh, I know, but
OG,
say like Andrew Callahan, that kind of stuff, and Deez and Zari. Some of the stuff is like it happens in real life too. Like not to the extent of the fucking Bill Cosby drugging or Harvey Weinstein raping. Like there's certain elements of the culture that kind of lead people to certain behaviors that. You know, and like you think it's normalized. You see films and stuff. You think, oh well, yeah, you know, you kind of keep going or whatever kind of thing. But like the way this guy was saying it now, he's a young youth street, and he's like a reaction video guy. But he was kind of just saying like you do see it in creative areas, but like it's more prevalent than.
I mean, it does.
Believe just not everyone's fucking indiscretions run.
It does put a different. As much as I'm for, you know, like I said, separating that for the artist, it does put a different spin on things when like there's a new movie, well, not a new movie, currently 2022 called Resurrection, and it's kind of psychological horror with Rebecca Hall and Tim Roth. And she's this kind of successful lecturer. She's doing well. And then Tim Roth shows up, and he's like her ex a few years ago. And she goes from being this confident, strong woman to this shell of a person just by him appearing. And it turns out, you know, years ago he abused her for a lot of years and manipulated her. And then, you know, I think that comes back in. And I've not seen it yet, but that's what the film's about. And see, when I was reading that, I was just thinking, I love Tim Roth. I hope there's nothing unsavory about him. But can you imagine that after that movie, then something like this was to come out about him, you would be like, hold on a minute, I've seen that in that movie. Like, it does put, you know, Kevin Spacey played a psychopath. And, you know, like House of Cards wasn't even playing a character. Like, you know, it's
I think Hollywood in particular seems to be just fucking whatever back in the day.
Crazy.
That's a pity now because I would have really liked to watch that. Like, well, you know, I might still, but it doesn't sound like that sounds like great crack. But Rebecca Hall actually reminded me of one of my lectures. So, like, to see her play a lecturer would be cool. I'm like, maybe not in that situation now. Let's let her have her play a lecturer in something else.
The films might be really good for what I've heard. I'm probably going to check it out.
And Tim Roth, like, I don't think Tim Roth has done as much creative stuff in the last like 20 years. Do you know he hasn't been. Like what kind of really strong drama has he done in the last?
But I also think when he does crop up, he's so consistent. Like he's never bad. Tin Star, that TV show Tin Star, which was like an American. He was a sheriff that moved to America with his family.
You turned the lawyer. What was that one? Lied to me.
Oh no, that was Lied to Me.
Everywhere.
Couldn't like
it was like a compilation of different shows that just became good. You're a terrible lawyer.
Tin Star was good, man. Anyway, sorry, I'll move on. That wasn't really about Rick and Morty, it was more about what's going on. But
the general sense of.
Have you guys watched this season of Rick and Morty?
Yeah, I just finished it. Like
I've not, no.
2 or 3 weeks ago.
Does it damage it at all watching it? Now you know that if you were to watch it.
I watched it before it came out, so I don't know if it happened the other way around, maybe, but I don't know because I watched. You know,
like, we're probably not. I would be surprised if we could get to it like. I don't know, maybe 7 years later. I don't even know. Like,
next season kind of thing.
I don't even know if we will. I'd be surprised if we did, to be honest with you.
Who knows?
Like, look, it could happen, but I'd be.
And that's the thing. Like
right now, I'd be very surprised. Like,
it's so ingratiated with their, you know, performances and their that you can't recast. Like you can't recast.
Oh no, you can't.
There's so many voices.
Someone was
take that out.
On about it was saying like it was like a TikTok reaction video of Justin Roiland and your man was. I think apparently it was like James Roiland watching your man doing an impression, and he goes. He's really good. If everything ever happens to me,
oh no!
I could see him maybe in a couple of years he'll come back out with something else. I'd say he's probably made shit tons of money, so he probably doesn't have to until.
And the thing talking about like distance in years, I think that was the biggest kind of betrayal I felt because I mean, for me, Andrew Callahan, I felt that was a huge betrayal because, like you're saying, Jerd, he's very leaning a certain way. He acts as if he likes to, represent
Promote things
underrepresented groups, and and to hear that, it's just an absolute betrayal of everything you thought you knew about him. Again, accusations, nothing proven. We'll wait and see. But
the vibe, it seems
but believe women, obviously. Now the thing about Rick and Morty, though, the thing that feels like a betrayal is, see, when I think back, 2020 was a while ago. I've listened to podcasts, I've watched YouTube videos with him on it as if everything's normal. That's the part that I'm like, surely, like, shame or whatever else, you would disappear. Like, you would just write the show and voice the show, and I wouldn't do any appearances. Like, it just seems like weakness.
Like, when you're in that high position, you're probably...
I don't know. It just is. That to me is gross. Like, those women, if it's true, those women are, sitting watching this guy that abused her, sitting in a podcast with PewDiePie. It's wrong. Like, it's gross. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Nothing's proven. We'll wait and see. I just want to cover myself there, but aye. Anyway, let's go to slightly happier.
Some
shit.
Happier. Fuck. Jesus.
Well, the next thing on my list. The next thing on my list.
I've one here. It's not happier, but we just may put it in the same section.
The next thing on my list is This Place Rules. the Andrew Callahan. Do you know what? Let's just skip that. Right? Let's just skip that.
Did you watch it?
Yes, I watched it. Yeah,
I didn't know it was out. Okay.
I really enjoyed it, but I don't want to say that now because.
Jeez, you had a weird week, didn't you?
Yeah,
not a good week. Yeah.
Catching up.
Sorry. Were you going to jump in there with something that you watched?
So Vince McMahon. Well, I haven't really. Well, technically, yeah, I've been listening to podcasts and stuff. So yeah, since playing the game, like the last couple of years, I have just gone down on random. I'm going to call it WWF. I don't care. It's not WWF.
Oh, WWF.
Well, it fucking is, because they refer to everything, even back in the day, as WWE. Now it's just like, and I'd love to know what the crack with that was, because they gave the name to the World
Panda thing.
Yeah, but the World Wildlife Federation. But like, I think WWF Wrestling had it first.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. So
there's a new Vince McMahon documentary out.
Huh?
We're going to talk about. There's a new Vince McMahon documentary out, I think. Is that what you're going to talk about?
No, not directly.
Many lives
comes into it.
It's like the many lives of Vince McMahon or something.
So he resigned at like the start of the year or something. Was it the start of 2022? Some being inappropriate with a paralegal, or I can't remember exactly the situation, or he like promoted her and whatever, and then he tried to, like, their relationship, their affair ended, and then I don't know the full situation of it, but basically he resigned at the start of the year, and his daughter Stephanie McMahon was named chair, CEO, whatever, and then they are apparently, so yeah, from playing the game, I've just been going on random YouTube holes, but now I've like subscribed to wrestling pages, and I'm getting wrestling shit in my feed and stuff. So apparently there was talk of them, there, a rumor of them. So I think he came back first, Vince. But there was already rumblings that they're looking like they're trying to like sell the company, but have Vince come back and be in charge of it. Yeah. So make shit tons more money that they don't need, and then he doesn't own the business anymore, but he's just like
the face.
And so like people are trying to sue. Yeah. There was rumors of some like it's like a fund of some one of the Saudi Arabia countries. But it's called something else. It's called like the blah 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 investment, but it's basically just the purse of one of the Saudi countries. I can't remember which one.
Right, okay.
And apparently, I
heard about this.
WWE is like worth about $6 billion now, but there was very strong rumors that this particular young king or whatever, or I don't even know, some rich lad from over there was going to buy it. And then that got kind of like squashed down. But then they're saying like, there still could be chances. And like Stephanie resigned there like after coming in as CEO like 9 months ago or something. And Triple H is still in charge of creative and some other guys there. But I think some people are kind of worried that like Vince is just going to fucking come back and it'll go back to the way it was. Like people are kind of, I think from my understanding, people like Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, at least what they're trying to do, trying to kind of improve the company and stuff. And I think even Stephanie McMahon is kind of liked by people. Like, from my understanding, Vince McMahon is this weird kind of enigmatic character. Like, he seems like a shithead.
He's too intense.
But some people still seem to really like him within the business, or like what he does for the business or whatever. He's just a fucking, I don't know. He seems like a piece of shit. And there's like So there was movement on that going around. But then, yeah, I've just been going into like random. Did you ever watch like wrestling back in the day at all, or?
Yeah, when I was young,
when I was
I
young,
liked it.
we watched it. Yeah.
John Cena was my man.
Oh, Rey Mysterio.
I keep forgetting how. Like when you were young, that's when I was too old for it.
I still watched. I still remember The Rock and Stone Cold, and
Ric Flair and all that
attitude and all that. Like I do remember those days as well.
I didn't realize. Like I thought when I watched it was cool, but then now it's like, no, that's officially record. When I watched it was the coolest time to watch it. Like 2000 to 2001.
Of course.
And there was other elements there, but no, they literally like that's the Attitude Era. That's seen as the golden era. I think the year 2000. So I think as I was saying last week, my friend got like one of the N64 games, and then we only really started watching it then like a month or two afterwards. We knew all the characters, but just from the games. Like I can remember walking, like I was about 12, like walking home, like, oh, what if Kane came up here? And I was like, I'd never seen him in a wrestling match. I just knew him from the PlayStation. I even remember there was like a small traveling wrestling thing that came. That was in a hotel in our hometown, and they had a cane. Like, oh, Kane! I was like, oh my God. I kind of knew it was like the Santa thing. I knew it wasn't actually Kane. Like, but it was funny.
I went to see it when I was young. It was one of those ones. I distinctly remember it came to the Braehead Arena.
Yeah, it did.
Triple H title fight, and it was like. It was a Christmas present or birthday present, and it was like me, John Robb, and somebody else, right? One of my other pals. Yeah. And it was one of the ones when my parents were like, right, this is a really expensive ticket, right? It was like £120 a ticket or something. They were like, this is a really expensive ticket. It was like next, see, this is like Christmas of, I don't know, 2004, right? And it's like, that's like October 2005. They're like, are you still going to be into this next October, like almost a year? And I'm like, yeah, I love wrestling. Yeah, I'll definitely. And by the time it came round, we'd all grown out of it, and we were like, this is the latest shit ever. We were too cool for it. We were laughing. Fat 40-year-olds, wearing the two belts and the signs and stuff.
Was it WWE?
Yeah, I guess. It was like
it
was mid 2000s, I think.
Who was there?
Triple H was the title fight. That's what I remember. I didn't remember who he fought. Triple. I remember distinctly watching him doing the like
the spit.
Yeah, I remember that. What is going on?
one of my childhood friends, he lives in New York now, and I must have said this before. There's Roman Reigns is fighting, like he's just been as obsessed as we were when we were like 12 or whatever into wrestling. He has kept that going his whole life. Right. He's that much in it, like loves his sports, loves all different types of sports, and he's like a lot of his mates be like more like to be just like lads from around the town, like oh, watch wrestling, and he'd just be like, yeah, do you like another guy that I work with up here who again like goes to WrestleMania, loves it completely. They both kind of have the vibe of like, yeah, do you like? I'm trying to think that I see both of them use the same example. It was like, yeah, do you watch The Walking Dead? It's like same fucking thing, like it's a TV show. But there's a video of him like he always fucking seems to get really good seats. Always constantly putting up photos of different sports stars. Like he lives in New York, so he's just always going to these events. But Roman Reigns basically comes out and he's either near the crowd or they're kind of fighting in the crowd. And then my mate just kind of pops up with like our home county's jersey, and like there's meme pages on Facebook in Ireland that's like no matter where you go there's always some flute in the Mayo jersey, but he gets up and starts shouting at Roman Reigns. I think it's Roman Reigns, there's one of them anyway, but he's just like shouting in his face and shit. Like it's fucking hilarious. I mean, like he's got pictures with fucking everybody. Like he'll go to WrestleMania, but he'll also go the couple of nights before to like the meet and greets and whatever. But yeah, like the modern stuff, like when I'm going through the game and I'm going through the two rosters, I don't know fucking any of the modern ones, but listening back to some of the stuff, like it's something about it just captures my imagination. Like I'm listening to like
childhood,
yeah, but it's I don't know. There's an element of it. Like say when I'm playing that WED the 2KK, like I can't fucking say it. That's the worst name ever.
Yeah,
I'm going to SmackDown, okay? New SmackDown.
SmackDown.
Daddy's got a new SmackDown.
That's it.
I don't like that.
I was saying this last week. It feels like the way I remember it playing. Or no, it feels like it plays like I think how I remember the old games being, and the matches can have that element of like you can do things where you can basically just set all your own matches and you can change the rules, and you can make some matches that aren't there, like, and stuff. But like, so that's what I do now. Like, instead of just playing whatever the computer gives me, there's like a universe mode, and I'm just like trying to select things. Yeah, but sorry, did you ever come across? You probably would, because I think he was out of it by the time if he started watching it around then. Jim Cornette.
No.
Doesn't ring
like
a bell.
I didn't know my. It would be awful funny if I played your man's voicemail.
Jim.
Oh, this is off tempting. Sorry,
I was just thinking about the idea, since Massimo's not been on in so long and we always use his line, the see you on the next page, I think we should replace it with Daddy's got a new SmackDown.
That was a belter. That was...
Okay.
I want that graved.
I don't like this guy. I don't think he listens to this, but the other guy, Bart, who I used to work with, does listen to this sometimes, so you might hear this. Okay, this is hopefully everything is above board here, but we can edit it out. Just because he just throws out some random shite or whatever. But I just basically asked him about this Jim Cornette guy, because like he kept coming up on my YouTube feeds. I was like, I've never seen him actually on wrestling, but he's whoever he is, he just seems really enigmatic. He's like a really straight, like he just calls out shite, like he call out shite against Vince, but he's kind of level-headed. But like I found some compilation video, like Jericho was my main guy, but Jericho, like kind of thinking of separating art from artist. Jericho isn't actually in the game, so I have a created version of him. But like Jericho now is in real life is pro-Trump. It's like donated money to Trump's campaigns. There was something about some wrestling match that he kind of campaigned to get going ahead before it was maybe kind of seen as being fully safe with COVID.
Okay.
And he just seems like a shithead. Like he said something about, apparently he made out some tweet about, oh, did you ever notice how voting takes so long to be counted these days? And everyone's like, it used to be longer. What the fuck are you talking about? Like some kind of stupid conspiracy thing. But so yeah, but like in my head, I still have the idea of who Jericho was when I was a kid. But this Jim Cornette guy has like a 2-hour long video of his compilation from his podcast of him just shit talking on Chris Jericho. Very fucking funny. Okay, so I'll try. So I asked basically my mate, this Jim Cornette guy seems, so he's worked in and outside the business. He's been a manager, he's been a promoter, he's been a writer. Well, maybe.
Jesus.
So I asked my mate Dwayne. Dwayne is very funny, kind of deadly, pure Dublin kind of guy. Massive wrestling fan. I remember he said something about he met Kevin Nash, who was like a WCW guy, in like the airport in like fucking New Orleans when he was there for WrestleMania, and he tried to like get a picture with him, but he just couldn't talk. So he was like, "Come on, fuck guy." Whatever. Okay. So this is This is what he responded when I asked him about Jim Cornette. And Dwayne, I always give him voice messages. He doesn't. Well, I don't know if he likes them, but he doesn't mind them. But he never really sends them back. But this prompted him when I asked him about Jim Cornette for a voicemail. Okay, so we'll try this as best as we can.
Alright, I didn't want to text because that's so wrong. Yeah. So he's the greatest manager of all time, but he started off by taking pictures in, I'm going to say the 70s, no, late 70s maybe. And he's good, him and Paul Heyman for greatest manager ever. He managed, was it a Rock and Roll Express? Rock and Roll Express or Midnight Express. And he was on TV for ages. He managed Vader. He done everything. The guy's amazing. If you look up all this stuff, you will never see a bad Jim Cornette promo, and he's always right. So you should definitely pay attention to what he says.
So yeah, if you want to get into wrestling, if you want to hear some good, funny, like even if you're just, oh yeah, I watched it back in the day. Jim Cornette. If you look up whatever kind of wrestler or thing you're particularly interested in, to hear his viewpoint is very interesting, because it's not. Well, it's like anything really, like nerdy. We listen to fucking nerd, like kind of like the Weekly Planet. It's about nerdy shit, but it's not done in like a I'm Big Egypt kind of way. You know, there's a kind of an adultness and a realism, and he's like some of the spiels that Jim Cornette guy. So it's just if you like, I know a lot of people have had wrestling in their past, but Jim Cornette on YouTube, there's a lot of stuff there that's just fucking enjoyable, and just hearing some of the behind the scenes stuff is fucking hilarious. Like there was apparently a time where was it Chris Jericho and Goldberg got into some like fight backstage, and like Chris Jericho actually like restrained him with a headlock and stuff, which, you know, Goldberg's a massive guy, but just to hear some of the behind the scenes stuff, it makes some of the kids like. But I think even back when, like, say the 2000s and stuff, it was given a little bit more realism than it might be now, and even just seeing like, you know, some of the moves or attacks that you'd seen back in the day. You're like, oh yeah, that's just wrestling. But like looking at it back now, where people from behind the scenes going, no, that was fucked up.
Was fine. Yeah.
There was a Chris Benoit. Obviously, there was the massive Chris Benoit tragedy. I think that came up last week. But there's a match where he's fighting Chris Jericho, and he runs, dives out of the ring. Jericho has like a chair, and he doesn't just like, as people were saying, like, oh, if Jericho just put the chair up and he hit into it, he like fucking swings into him while Chris Benoit is going head first into it. Like, so yeah, head injuries, you can see where they would have came from. But yeah, look, it's just pure nostalgia buzz for me with the game and with YouTube rabbit holes on it, and there's fuckloads. It's something I've never really looked at. Like every now and again, I'll go down little ones, but like there's so many pages and stuff and things. It's just interesting. Yeah, so that was a little bit of a lot of stuff there. But
no, the only thing that annoyed me when I watched a couple of wrestlers back, when I saw the Undertaker and Kane, and I saw Undertaker tap Kane, and they both did sit up at the same time, and that took me out of the experience. I was like, "Oh, you bastards!" I thought you just automatically come up together, but you tap each other, and I was like, "No, you're taking me out of the whole experience."
Or it's fun too. Sometimes, like what can even be fun in that case? You see cases where something happens and they have to sort it out in character.
Yeah.
So there was one where someone got wrapped up in the ropes, and Triple H was a bad guy, so he couldn't like help him out of them. So he had to like go up and like pretend to punch him, but be like dragging him back out of them. Like, so, or someone has an injury. Like there's particular, like Austin. So it's a fucking very tragic one, but Bret Hart and Owen Hart. Owen Hart, you've probably seen it if you ever watched wrestling. You know, if you've ever taken much of an interest. But let's see. Wolverine,
the Hardy brothers.
Fucking, so yeah, the Wolverine's pointy ears don't help. So say this is Owen Hart, and he's given Wolverine a pile driver. Sorry, Owen Hart is giving Stone Cold a pile driver. The way it went, Wolverine's head too short. That's hard to kind of. The way it went, Austin's head was like was basically down about that much. Under Owen Hart's legs, and he went straight down on his head. And then, storyline wise, Austin was supposed to win the match. He couldn't fucking move. Like, he essentially broke his neck. And then he did this really kind of like fucking nice, like roll up pin. And like stuff like that happens a lot where they get injured and they have to try and cover it in the match and stuff. But yeah, and then like even just different things, like seeing like Kurt Angle. Like, he came from being an actual Olympic athlete, but then, like, within a year, he was, like, the top of the WWE because they had a power vac. Stone Cold was out with an injury, so they started bringing in all these younger people to kind of boost up the system and stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of different facets to it that are very interesting, I think, especially the older stuff and the analysis of it.
I hated Kurt Angle, if I remember correctly. I hated it. He was such an bastard.
That's it, though. But like, the thing is, he was such a, like... He was so good at the comedic stuff of it. That's a big part of it. Like, yo, can they cut a promo? He was so good at the comedic side of it. But he was fucking amazing in the ring. He was like, he just gave the best, like, because obviously it's scripted and blah, 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 but you can just tell when somebody is fucking amazing at something. And he truly was, like. Or that's the thing, it's true. But, like, he swung this goofy kind of, like, goody two-shoes Ned Flanders bad guy character into it. Still, while being that, he was so good, he was a badass. Like, there was a time where he was fighting Stone Cold and he'd still have these stupid kind of cutaway lines. But he was, like, Austin come out and spray people with beer. Kurt Angle came out and sprayed them milk. So it's like,
no,
he was goofy, but he was still, like, seen as, like, a fucking lunatic. Like, yeah. That's the main thing I've been, apart from, like, just normal YouTube stuff. That's all I've really been doing this week.
I'm not going to go into this place rules because I'm sick of talking about allegations and stuff. I just want to say one more thing.
Frozen for me.
All Gas No Breaks has a new meaning now, right? Turns out it wasn't just the name of his show. It was his dating strategy. So anyway, let's move on for that.
Fucking hell. The first two topics about...
I know. Couple of keeps. Anyway, let's talk about something that is this is still creepy. Mad God. Has anyone seen Mad God?
No.
No, I saw it somewhere. What is
So
a film?
Yeah, so Mad God's a film made by Phil Tippett, who is a special effects guy, stop motion. He was the special effects advisor on like Jurassic Park, Star Wars. He's this kind of
I think
legendary
I've seen
industry
a bit
figure.
of this.
He's never
Phil
actually
Tippett.
he's never written or directed anything until now. This film has apparently been in the making for 30 years. He's
Fuck
been
me.
working on it and it's been cancelled and eventually got kickstarted and it came out last year. I watched it because I'm a big fan of a guy called Lee Hardcastle on YouTube. I don't know if you're watching me. He does like these Rick and Morty and Simpsons like stop motion animations, but with plasticine, but they're like super violent and messed up and dark.
Yeah.
Really cool. I'd recommend Lee Hardcastle.
Right.
But aye, that's why I wanted to see this because it's that same vibe. You know, it's really dark. It's even though it's like stop motion animation, this is not for kids. Like this is one of the most depraved, violent films I've seen in a long time. Like even though it's models, you know, there's like
Okay.
really strong content in it.
I've seen a trailer for it. Yeah, it's quite dark.
So the issue I had with it though, right? I'm glad I watched it. I don't think I'll ever watch it again because there's no plot. It really feels like a sporadic movie that's been made over 30 years. That he's just came back when he can, done a bit, and then went away again. It feels so incohesive. Is that a word? Whatever the opposite of cohesive is. Like, it's just... The first 40 minutes is quite tight. It's like the apocalypse has happened, right? The world's going to shit. There's these monsters and mutants and derelict apocalyptic city. And there's this assassin guy. He's only called assassin. He's like a wee model man, you know. He's like Wallace, but he's wearing, you know, like Killzone gear.
Mad God, sorry, I just want to get the trailer
Mad
up
God,
so I can...
yeah, Mad God.
Yeah, Mad God.
So he has to go into the city and like deep into the heart of it and plant this bomb to blow it all up and humanity to start again. That's the first 40 minutes, and then the guy gets caught and taken away. And
it's on Shudder. Okay.
Yeah, it's a Shudder exclusive as well, yeah. I think he got experimented on, and then they pull like a fetus baby out of him, and then it turns into kind of like Monsters Inc., like Adrenochrome idea, where it's like they're trying to like harvest the children to like to build the future. Because at the end, I mean, I'm just going to spoil it because it's a weird ass movie. They crush the baby, and then the baby shoots into space, and it's like 2001: A Space Odyssey with the space baby floating about.
What the fuck?
It's so all over the place. Like when the doctor guy catches the assassin and he's experimenting on, he looks at it in the TV, and then I'm like, right, okay, the TV is going to show you something, and then it doesn't. It just shows you this other assassin trying to do a similar mission, and then his story just kind of ends abruptly, and then it cuts back to the doctor, and that's what he was watching on the TV. But the two have nothing to do with each other, and that has no repercussions in the long run. And then it's just all about this baby getting like taken into this kind of deep dark dungeon, and it's weird. It's weird.
It looks very fucking weird, man.
I
couldn't have pictured this at all. Like.
I'm glad I watched it. It was different, but it's not something I would like. It was one of those movies that I was bang up for it at the start. I was excited because it looked cool, and by the end, I was like, "What is going on? I don't care anymore." I kind of lost interest because there was nothing to follow. There's no real thread. It's just so sporadic, all over the place, random ideas. It's interesting. It's different, but I don't know if it was good. The people making it are clearly talented. The actual animation work and like the models, the scale models, incredible. Like there is parts of it that looks like, you know, there's a tank battle scene, and it looks like you're watching live action tanks blowing each other up, but you know it's models. Like it's the cinematography, the design, all of that's incredible. The puppet work, etc. But it's just the plot is just so incoherent. That's the word I'm looking for. That it was weird. It was weird. Yeah. So
is it like did he have a big animation team behind him, or was it just like the kind of Wallace and Gromit thing? It was just like him and another guy in the studio.
I think he was working on it himself for a long time, and then recently when the Kickstarter happened, it was actually quite cool. He went to like an animation school and hired a bunch of students, so that they could say they'd worked on a Phil Tippett project, and he could basically get free labour or very cheap labour. Yeah. So he basically paid, you know, these inexperienced students. They learned as they work with a legend, you know, with somebody that knows what they're doing, kind of thing, an expert, you know, and then that's the end result. I don't know if I would recommend it. It's weird, but if you want something weird and different,
it looks interesting at least.
Strange. I finally ready to watch the final episode of Peaky Blinders. The only reason I'm bringing that up, I'm not going to go deep into that, but me and Courtney we've been promising for ages that we're going to do an episode of For Your Consideration about the best and worst TV endings of all time.
Oh.
So the only one I think we've got left to watch is Killing Eve, and then we're going to do everything: Breaking Bad, Sons of Anarchy, Game of Thrones, Peaky Blinders, everything. Like everything.
I know where Game of Thrones is going to land. Probably the first spot.
Yeah, like we're just going to talk about the finales, how they ended, where it went, and there's going to be spoilers for everything. So when we'll get there, obviously in the episode, I'll do a big warning. But yeah, we're going to get to the end.
How was the Peaky Blinders? Like, without going into anything, how was it? Like, I've not actually watched that season. Is it is it worth the watch, or is it slow?
For me, it wasn't as good as the last season, but they're doing a movie. The finale is going to be a film. Yeah, the finale is going to be a movie.
Theatrically released, or?
Yeah, as far as I know, it's been written just now. Like, apparently, Kelly Murphy got asked the other day, and he said that he knows it's been written, but he's not seen the script yet, but it's in the works kind of thing. I think he's expecting it to be like start filming next year, sort of thing.
Wow.
2024. So, yeah, they're going to end it with a bang. But that did kind of affect a season, because even though this is the end of the kind of television chapter, it didn't really feel like an ending. It sort of did, but it was kind of not a great ending. And then it was like, oh, this isn't really an ending, because we're also going to do a movie. You know what I mean? That's kind of how it went. It was okay.
What's your does it keep its quality throughout the seasons, or?
I would say the movies pretty make or break. I'd say if the movie's subpar, then the last season previous, they should have probably ended it there.
Yeah.
But I mean, that season that just happened there basically felt like slightly filler. And for the last season of a show, you don't want that. So I really say it depends on the movie. If it ends brilliant, then sure, it's worth watching it all the way through. If it's not, stop after the season prior. Do you know what I mean? That would probably be there's a lot riding on the movie, I'd say, in terms of like sticking the landing. I'd say that's the same any show, though. It's a big deal. So I'm just trying to fire these out because there's so many of them. Knives Out, I rewatched that because the main reason I rewatched that was because I watched Glass Onion recently. We spoke about it last week on
you really liked
some of my favourite movies.
That's pretty
and
good.
I went back and watched at the time. There you are, Judge. You're frozen for me, but you're back now. At the time when I watched Glass Onion, I was like, Christ, that was so much better than Knives Out. And then I'm like, am I in the wrong because people love Knives Out? So I went back and I watched it to see, and Knives Out's okay. It's like
it's all right.
It's a 6 or a 7.
Movie.
Like it's really a bang average movie. Whereas Glass Onion is, for me, it flows so much better. It's more clever. It's wittier. It's better written. It's better. I prefer the cast. I love the cast of the first one. Like, I love Michael Shannon, Toni Collette, like brilliant. But
Jamie Lee Curtis.
In the movie, reading those lines, I preferred what the cast in the second one did.
Mm-hmm.
By a long shot. Like, for me, Glass Onion is like an 8 and Knives Out's like a 6. Do you know what I mean? There's a distinct difference between quality between the two. For me,
is there a third one coming? I'm guessing there will be.
Is it
planned?
After the first one came out, Netflix bought the rights to the franchise, and they ordered 3 more movies. So I think there's going to be 4 in total.
Yeah.
No, 4. Three more on top of the first one.
Right. Okay.
Wow, including Glass Onion.
I
But
wonder if they give it a release next time.
They might.
As much as I like Glass Onion, I hated the way it was only a cinemas for a week. But anyway, Daniel Craig,
what the fuck?
Daniel Craig, Ryan Johnson, and whatever the executive producer is, all got. I'm sure it was. I don't want to say the wrong number. I think it was like 30 million each. Or was it?
What?
Was it 100 million each? I think it was 100 million each. Yeah, it was. It was a 300 million investment for Netflix. They got 100 million each. I'm pretty sure. I would Google that. I'm going to Google that right now. But
what? 300 million to Daniel Craig, Ryan Johnson,
and whatever the executive producer
for the 4 movie deal,
for the 4 movies. So they won't get paid again.
I'm sure they always have to. Well, that doesn't like that. Is that just like this is your money for doing a job, but then they obviously get it separate. That's not the budget for the fucking 3 films. Like that's just paid for the deal. Like
that's
Daniel Craig gets so fucking sweet and juicy in there.
And March, sorry, I'm not shy. It's not even 3 movies. It is 2 more movies. Chris, you're right. It's a trilogy.
Oh, wow.
In March 2021, the streaming titan purchased the rights to 2 Knives Out follow-ups for an astonishing 450 million. 300 million of that went to Daniel Craig, Ryan Johnson, and the executive producer.
Okay.
Oh my!
That's not even
God.
like they'd still probably that's just the rights, so they'll get paid for making the new ones. Like,
I don't know how all that stuff works.
Just yours to have kind of thing.
There's an article there. IndieWire, Ryan Johnson has 100 million paid.
Yeah.
From
Well, it wouldn't
have 100 million.
It certainly wouldn't be the budget.
Oh, for the film,
unless Like if Daniel Craig.
No, that was
like
separate.
100, that's
Yeah,
a
no,
whole
that
separate
was
thing.
different.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be there. I don't think it'll be paid again. You know what I mean? Like 100 million, lads. I think you've had enough. Like,
Aye, fuck. Have
No.
you had a million now?
Well, I guess 100 million.
nah, I don't think so. What I don't see,
probably
like,
split between the
they
three
wouldn't be paying
movies.
Daniel Craig for the rights. Do you know what I mean? It's
No.
not. They would be paying Daniel Craig for his, his acting,
Contribution,
his
yeah.
put his
But it's-
face
it's
to it and
the
doing
lead.
interviews and doing the press.
He's the lead.
Yeah.
It's based
the
on
face.
him. Like it's
Yeah.
so the next
That's
film
what he
will have a
does.
whole different cast, but it'll still be him.
Yeah,
Very interesting to think of, really, like to put Daniel Craig as this big kind of bruiser guy and put him in like just a. It's basically
Well-
what's the old who's the old guy? Like, hey, remember you said that?
Columbo.
Oh my god, the
Columbo,
detective.
yeah, so it's like a
Columbo.
modern-day Columbo, like in a new style, and like he like even his character with the
One more thing, man. Yeah.
huh?
What? One more thing, man. Before I go, that's what you used to always say. Yeah.
That's what it says.
I see that you.
Rest-
I seen some meme about the Andrew Tate thing where it's like, I see that you have a pizza box from.
Yeah. That was good. That was great.
No, I know that particular pizza to do a very nice.
That was good shit. What a scumbag. Anyway, I'm so done talking about scumbags, man. Let's go there.
It's good. Like, see with Daniel Craig, you can see like a lot of like when you get out of the James Bond role, some people do fall. Like Pierce Brosnan, and when he left, he never really got a lot of stuff. Now he's getting a little bit more.
Yeah.
But Daniel Craig went right into another franchise. Like,
Well,
yeah. But he
but
was kind of.
I also think that's partly luck because Knives Out took off so much. But I also think that it's interesting to me watch these actors that are tied to a franchise like that, like Daniel Radcliffe for Harry Potter, Elijah Wood for Lord of the Rings. See, after they're done, they go and do weird shit. Like Daniel Radcliffe made 6 movies and they've been great, but it's been really interesting watching his career. Weird Al, Swiss Army Man, these movies. Elijah Wood playing the serial killer in Sin City immediately after playing Frodo. Like,
yes! Oh my god!
like,
I didn't
he
even
was
put
amazing
that
in it, but I was stuck. Anyway,
that was so
so I think Daniel Craig's just doing that now. Like, see that Logan Lucky movie he was in? He was playing this weird, like, southern.
Oh, I never.
He had like white blonde hair, and he was like,
he was in jail.
He was great in it.
That was great.
I think he's just looking for different shit. I think that's the goal.
But I think
he's just trying to play different.
Different to well, I guess Brosnan did it a bit too, but like Craig was working the whole way through. Like he didn't go, "Well, I'm just Bond now." Like say for example, like fucking Robert Downey.
Yeah,
he was only did Iron Man. He did like 1 or 2 films during the Iron Man period. But he's actually there's pictures of him. I think it's called The Sympathizer. It's some new show that's for HBO where he plays someone. It's something in relation to the set during the Vietnam War, I think. Or he's a veteran of the Vietnam War and he's older. But he looks,
Is that the one where he looks like Mick Hucknall? He's got like blonde, like ginger, like sparse hair, and he looks about 80. Yeah.
But he looks even like the set photos, not even just. Well, his when he's done up in his whatever stylings for.
Again, I think he's trying to do different shit because trying to branch out because Zodiac. No, that's not Nolan. That's Fincher. Sorry. What was I going to say? The Oppenheimer. Is that because he's got the hair just round the side and he looks tall,
he looks ancient, yeah.
I think that's on purpose. I think that's
X amount. But like if you look at him in Endgame, like you can see he was the elder statesman at that kind of point. Like the hair.
Look at the life he's lived. Do you know what I mean? It's
it's unusual because he's built so much, but basically just off Iron Man. Like, he really I think he'd only done like maybe 2 films in between. Since he started.
Kiss Bang Bang was one, right?
That's before Iron Man, though.
Yeah. All right. So you've seen after.
While being Iron Man, he only did The Judge and Judas.
You know the Thunder.
That was before it.
Thunder was
could be the same year.
I was 2007, 2008.
2007, 2008. But yeah, I think he's only done 2 films during the whole period of Iron Man.
He's minty.
Chef, like a couple, like
Oh yeah, because he's Favreau.
Chef, he was in it. He was only in it for like.
That's just because he's Favreau's mate.
I always trying to say like. For me, Robert Downey, I guess some of maybe his drama films from back in the day I could go back and watch. But Civil War, that's cream of the crop Iron Man for me. Like, it's perfect in that.
Chris, I did it.
Man. You survived.
I finished the Book of Boba Fett.
How
That was a
good are the
slog.
last 3 episodes compared to
Yeah.
the shit?
Oh my
No,
god, man! See,
I
just
don't mean they're
needed something
great, but I
happening.
mean, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like there's better episodes of The Mandalorian, but
Yeah.
you just, oh my god, there's something happening.
Something
Thank
done.
Christ! Like, thank God, there's an interesting character on the screen. Like, my god, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
God, that show was a slog.
Do you think they felt that when they were doing
There's
that?
only
Like,
7 episodes. See, when I brought it back up, I was like, I've watched about 7 and I've got about 3 left. I had watched like 3 and it was
aye,
all
they're
7, and I was like,
slogs,
what the? I'm not even halfway. Like, what the hell? Oh my god, Jesus!
It's
Kill that
so
show.
weird
Never
how
do another
that's-
season ever.
But
Stop.
it's like Boba Fett was
No,
like
Disney.
such a
Bad.
massive character. How could
Yeah.
you make him so boring?
They
Like,
absolutely.
it's so bad.
And that's the thing as well. They've retroactively ruined a cool character. Like, he's on my keys. I've got him on my key ring, and I'm embarrassed by it now. I'm like, get that
You've
fuck
took
away
it
from me.
off. You're that
Yeah.
fucking.
Piece of
Put
shit
Mando
away
in
from me.
there with the baby.
Just play it silver and just be like, that's Mando. It's not good.
Oh, no, but
Pedro Pascal's
it's-
great, man. Like, it's just so good. Like, I know he's probably not even there half the time, but see, just his voice and his cadence and his
I don't
charm and his
He's just
like,
his voice
just,
says
yeah,
it all. You
he's
know?
quality. Also, Last of Us premieres tomorrow, so that's a buzz.
Oh,
I know.
fuck, yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
I
definitely-
got that game now.
We'll definitely talk about that next week. I'm buzzing for
Oh
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's going to be exciting.
tomorrow. My fucking
Is it going to be like released in the sense of episode per week, or is it going to be like Netflix? Oh, right,
No,
okay.
weekly. It's HBO. But the first
Oh,
They're not
right.
doing a premiere double bill or anything like that.
no, just one, but it's 85 minutes. That's like an hour and a half.
Ooh.
Meaty episode to start. Yeah.
And that's probably like that. That could be just the very start of the game, like that could
Yeah.
be great.
How many?
Fucking
Is it
like
8
7 minutes
episodes
out.
or
Nine
10 episodes?
nine
Oh, right,
episodes.
okay.
The first
Those-
episode 1 and episode 3 are 85 minutes, and episode 2 is like an hour. Because the runtime for the first 3, I've seen a screenshot, and it's
yeah.
first 2 are like an hour. Sorry, episode 1, episode 3 are like an hour and a half, and then episode 2 is like an hour.
That character design of the clicker is
Fucking
it's giving me
terrifying.
Shivers, like. Do
Fucking
you ever get that, like so the teeth are separated, and then there actually
Yeah,
seems
yeah.
to be like
That's
a hollow
horrible.
up here. So,
Yeah.
but like, with the
That's
separation
the face
goes up.
just meets in the middle. Yeah, yeah.
It is like there's like a concave going inside the head. I was like,
Yeah,
anytime I
'cause
see something like that, I
It's
just get
spores
like
are coming out.
the
Yeah,
hairs back up my head. Like anything with holes and heads.
and like
And
they've
there's
got-
pictures of people with like they're missing most of their brains.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
have an
yeah.
open head. Like
I came across an image. I was doing Last of Us articles this week. We plug for them. I'll post them in the description. Things like brutal moments for the game that they might include in the show and that sort of thing. I came across an image of Last of Us 2. It was, so I couldn't use it because I was talking about the first game. But it was a clicker, or it was some sort of a roamer of one of the zombies. But what you're saying about their head, Jerd, so like obviously Last of Us 2 is super detailed. It was a shot for like it was in game, I think, or maybe it was in the photo mode, and you saw the monster had the infected, not the zombie, the infected had like all the shit coming out the front of his head, like the crystals or whatever, the spores, and then you could actually see like the flap of skin that like came up, and the hair was all gathered like back here. It looked like a full head of hair, but it was all gathered at the back of its head, and it was like from the back. And I think he was biting Joel or something in the scene. That it was just a weird thing where it was like the odds, the unusual view of the back of their heads, and you're like, oh, what's going on there? Like,
that's a collection of shit there.
I just came across it Google and I was looking, and I was like, oh my god, that's so detailed and disgusting. I love that. That's awesome.
I don't like it. Yeah, can't fucking wait.
Talking
Some
about
people-
gross shit, I watched a movie called Bones and All. Don't know if you've seen that. Bones and All is it's kind of a vampire movie, but it's not called a vampire movie. So it's a road trip movie where they're cannibals. Not like Natural Born Killers though. So Timothy Chalamet, talk about Robert Downey Jr. Timothy Chalamet is in it. He's a kind of star, but he isn't the main character. The main character is this young actress. Don't have her name at hand right now, but she was really good in the movie. I think she's relatively unknown. I think it's one of her first roles, but she was solid. So she's staying over at a friend's house. She's like later stages of school. She's about 17 or 18, and she's having a sleepover. And she's under the table with this girl, and it looks like things are getting a bit heated between them. And she puts the girl's finger in her mouth, and you're like, oh! And then she chomps down and degloves the finger, so you see the skin and the nail. This girl's just holding this bone, and so she's a cannibal, right? She can't help it. It's this urge, like a vampire, I guess, or a zombie, but she's she's not a zombie. She's more like a vampire because she's.
I think you can help being a cannibal.
Well, that's the thing. They never call it vampires, but it's like they can smell each other. They have a scent. They can smell each other.
Okay.
Oh
They-
my god!
They
Oh,
get
yeah.
like
So just
like
a random
vampires.
thing.
If they feed, then they're good for a few weeks, kind of thing. Like how like vampires, it's like the hunger, and if you satisfy the hunger, you can sustain yourself for a. Is that idea? So they never outright say we're vampires, but it seems like that a lot. So yeah, she thinks she's the only one.
Oh, wow.
Her dad leaves her. Her mum's left her years ago, right? Her mum kind of comes out at the end. There's a bit of a twist, but I'm not going to go into that because that's a bit of a spoiler. But she's with her dad, and once this happens, you kind of realise this isn't the first time it's happened. They've moved a bunch. The dad's moved her around because she's, chopped a few people.
Oh my god!
And he basically writes her a note saying, "I can't help you. You're sick. I'm sorry. The best thing for you is for me not to be with you. You're on your own." So he just leaves her this note. So she goes on the road, she goes on the run, and she thinks she's the only one. And then she comes across Mark Rylance.
He's in it. Well, that's
Oh
brilliant.
my Christ, what a creep he is in this movie.
Oh,
really
is he?
good.
Oh,
But he talks with this like southern lisp, and he's got this like dreadlock that's all like greasy and matted. And he wears these weird like he dresses like a child catcher kind of with like a top hat, and he's just gross, man. He's got these horrible rules, but he's kind of like a mentor. He's like, right, she's staying in like an abandoned house, right, and he goes to the door. He just turns up outside, and she's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I smelt you." She's like,
oh my god!
That's the first inkling you get that like, there's something supernatural here. And then he's like, "I can help you, teach you how to control this. I can." What I do, he's explained his method. He's like, "I've been doing this. I'm an old man. I've been doing this for years. What I do is I find people that are already dying because then I can kind of sleep at night. He eats people that are already terminal cancer, things like that. So he kind of like teaches her how to seek out folk that are dying and feed on that. And there's a bit of a kind of bond. And then he gets a bit too creepy, and she does the off for him. She leaves him as well because he just oversteps the mark a bit. And then she meets Timothy Chalamet, and he's obviously this kind of younger, hipper. Chalamet,
I think it seems like just looking up there. It seems,
and then it's like it's a kind of love story. They two end up on the road together. It's a kind of love story. While Mark Rylance is in the background, sort of pursuing him for a distance, and they come across other cannibals who are even weirder again. There's a guy.
Story.
They eventually, this is on the trailer. You eventually come across a guy who isn't a cannibal, but his best friend is, and he just likes to watch. Like it just gets weirder and weirder. And, it goes to dark places, but it's good. It's good. Good performances.
I just saw. I think it's Francesca Scorsese is in it.
Oh,
the daughter of.
Nice.
23. She's actually apparently been in The Departed.
Okay.
And a couple of his other films. Nepo baby. Thought it was interesting. Yeah, good cast though. Like there was someone else there.
Yeah, solid. That guy, I don't know. I can never remember his name, but he's in like Shape of Water, Men in Black 3.
Michael Stunnberg. Is this kind of?
He's incredible. Like, yeah, he's.
Stunnberg.
Oh my! Again,
Savini, she's like fucking royalty.
Yeah,
essentially.
Well, I wouldn't look anymore because that's kind of spoilery.
What cast? Well, now we know it's the mother because of all the spoilers you gave me. Oh, sorry, that looks familiar. You just told me the whole plot. Jesus.
Watch the trailer. It's on the trailer, right? I'm not getting it.
Bitch is fucking Jones the whole fucking thing.
So no. Honestly, the twist.
I can watch trailer directly.
It gets weirder.
I will see. It'll just be like a girl and she bites someone, and that's it. Like. Why did she bite me? That's it. I can't tell you.
Trailer. I just want to put a wee trigger warning here. If you struggled listening to us talk about that, the cannibal thing.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
The strange thing about the Johnsons, I put it in the chat after I watched it. The whole thing's on YouTube. Did anybody watch it?
Strange thing about the Johnsons. What is it?
The reason I watched it, the trailer for Beau is Afraid dropped. That's Ari Aster's new movie.
Yeah. I keep fucking...
So this is Ari Aster's first short film. He made this when he was still a film student. It's a half an hour. The whole thing's on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty thick-skinned. I like horror. I like disturbing shit. I like gross stuff. No issue with any of that.
Up?
This film goes to places that, jeez. And the worst thing about it is, and the genius thing about it as well, is disturbing as it is, Ari Aster is incredible at what he does, even at that age. Like, he was like 19 when he made this.
Yeah.
It doesn't show you anything, but it implies so much that you just do not want to even consider. and holy shit, I wasn't ready. Like, and I never say that. Like, it takes a lot for me to cringe or like.
I wasn't ready.
Think it stayed with me for days after. And like, as I'm thinking of this, and how messed up it is, and the layers are to it, and the history of it. Which again, you don't see the history. It all takes place within a few days, but it suggests so much that even though it's a half an hour, it's so dense, it's so well acted.
Yeah.
It's one of the most messed up things I've ever seen, and I can't say it. I would even if I wanted to, I don't want to say it more about it because it's that disgusting.
What's it called again?
The Strange Thing About the
Johnsons.
Oh.
2011 he made it. Wow.
I guarantee you, it is the most messed up half an hour you will spend if you watch that today. Like,
is Ari Aster only? Was he 19 in 2011?
I might be bullshitting. He was a film student. He was young.
Okay.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm just guessing.
sounds all right.
But if you watch the movie, Mother's Aronofsky, that's not him.
Oh, okay, well,
Mother's Aronofsky.
Yeah.
He's only made Hereditary, Midsummer, and
yeah, I think 26.
Bo's Afraid.
Okay, yeah, I get you.
Yeah. So, Jesus, Strange Thing About the Johnsons. If you want to, it's not scary. It's not horror. Well,
it's just
depends on how you look at it.
Kind of
It's
Oh,
it's one of the most distressing things I've ever sat through.
he also has a short film here. So this film is called
Bo
is Afraid.
Yeah.
But he also has a Bo short film.
Yeah. That's new movie's based. It's an expanded version of that short film. Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
Um.
cast Billy Mayo.
Oh,
No relation to my home county, I don't think. I don't think a person can be related to a county.
But yeah. Jesus.
Yeah, I must. So, Darren Aronofsky, I kind of placed him in the same place that like.
So Aronofsky made one of the most, what I consider one of the most messed up films is what's Requiem for a Dream. That's one of the hardest movies that I've ever sat through. This is Requiem for a Dream is like Teletubbies compared to this. Like, this is nothing.
And it's only half the time.
Like heroin addicts like doing turning tricks for money is nothing compared to this. Like, this is horrific to sit through. Like, it's incredible. You're in awe of the acting and the writing and the direction, but it's tough. It's tough, man. It really is. I feel like I'm
excited now. I might watch this.
I need a wash.
I don't know.
I've got a good half an hour after this. I might watch.
It's not.
You'll have a bad half an hour after that.
It's not a scary film, but it'll stay with you. It'll stay with you, man. Like,
maybe no, but do some watching tonight.
It's worth watching. I would recommend it if you like, Hereditary, Midsummer. It's kind of like those movies without the horror, with the disturbing aspect turned up. I guess would be the best way to describe it. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to move on because it's even think back to some of the shots and some of the applications. Anyway, yeah, I did watch a lot of heavy shit this week. I watched a movie the other night called The Good Nurse.
Oh yes,
I've heard of it.
Have you watched that?
No, a friend has said
Eddie Redmayne in it.
And
Eddie Redmayne. Yeah, and Jessica Chastain. Now, I should specify Jessica Chastain as the good nurse. Eddie Redmayne, he's not a good nurse at all. Turns out he's a bad nurse.
Is he a nurse?
He's a mass murderer.
Oh, is he? Oh, right. Oh, God.
It's based on a true story. I'm not spoiling it, and there's a documentary.
Just said he was.
But
your definition of what a spoiler is like. You
get that. Opens with him murdering someone. It's in the trailer. There's a documentary. Like, come on.
No, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. My friend told me a lot about it. Said it was very good. He didn't tell me that.
Well, Eddie Redmayne Central.
So basically, anything Dad says, just block your ears for like 5 to 10 minutes because he'll just talk right through it.
So sensitive.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Jessica Chastain does a great performance where she has to play both sides, and it's one of those performances, kind of like Daniel Craig in Knives Out, actually, where it's an actor playing a character, playing a role. If that makes sense, like she's not an actor in the movie, but she's having to act a certain way and lie and do certain.
Sorry, what? She's an actor?
No, Jessica Chastain is an actor playing a real person in this movie who had to act a certain way in order to bring this guy.
Oh, so the character is acting. Yeah, I was
watching someone who can act, who's won an Oscar, act that awkward, squirmy way.
Oh, yeah.
Right, okay.
She's great.
You're like, oh shit, he doesn't catch on, and like there's so much. I'm saying a lot now. I'll stop. It's good. Really good.
Yeah, and come here.
Heavy watch, heavy. But
I tried to figure this out in the chat before, just asking people. I still don't know the real answer. Have you watched all the Fantastic Beasts films?
No. I
watched
watched
the
the
first
first
one
one
and
and
10 minutes
that
of the sequel, and then put it off because it was shite.
shite.
Okay, but is Eddie Redmayne? I think I was trying to figure out. I was just like from all because it was all just when the second one or whatever when that Johnny Depp stuff came out. I just never noticed Eddie Redmayne anywhere, and I never watched any of the trailers or watched any of the films. Is he the lead character throughout the three?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He seemed to disappear. Like I just, to my mind, he just wasn't in it anymore. I thought it was just about Jude Law and fucking Gator or whatever it was.
It could have been so good. Like that could have been really interesting. See, I don't like Harry Potter, right? But see the idea of World War II fought with magic. That's a brilliant idea. Like someone should make that.
I guess I just imagine.
But they just massacred it. It was just a cash grab. The J.K. Rowling stuff's not nice.
Yeah, because it was like
just,
footnotes. It was
it's
like
Warner Brothers
thing.
who've just been absolutely spiraling for the last, however long.
Oh,
like
God.
it's been DC and everything now. Like, anyway,
the only two films they could afford by it wasn't all of 2022, but it was just by a certain point. The only things they could afford to release were Black Adam and
Don't Worry, Darling. Don't Worry, Darling. Was the other one.
Yeah,
was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, I think like I've heard some people say like there's good bits to it. Like it's not.
Florence Pugh is great because she's always great, but
yeah.
It's a movie you've seen done before a million times, done better. They did it worse than so many other movies that it rips off. It's one of those.
But
you're like,
you got to give
at a certain point, it rushes the ending, and then a certain reveal happens, and you go, "Oh, I've seen this movie. I've seen this a million times. Let's see how they handle it." Oh, they messed it up. It's bad. Like that was my takeaway. Like it's not a horrible movie. Florence Pugh is again brilliant in everything she does. Harry Styles, he done his best. It wasn't horrible in it. It was just a movie. But we talked about it on For Your Consideration, so go and find that episode. I might like that below, remember.
Put it that way, they've done a great advertising campaign with all the kind of like all the shit around it.
So weird.
They never had a budget for advertising, maybe.
That was bizarre, man. It felt like Olivia Wilde sabotaged their own movie. It was bizarre. Anyway, that's another. I'm sick of talking about celebrity scandals, man. Let's go happy shit.
Chris, what have you been watching?
I have been taking the backseat and enjoying a little bit of gaming on the down low. Have you ever played a game called The Kingdom? Like, I've not really been watching. I've just been playing games. I've been watching little things.
Chris, refresh my memory. What is The Kingdom?
The Kingdom is a 2D game where you can only go side to side.
Pixel art?
Pixel art, yeah. And you're basically building your little like wee kingdom from like a wee hut to a massive kingdom.
I might know this. Hold on.
And you're building like towers, and you're defending from random weird alien things that are like coming out of portals. It is so relaxing. See if you've got like if you just want to chill, it plays like
shit. I do know
nice
this.
Music.
Yeah, this is a cool game. Yeah.
You
have to fortify your defenses, and like it's kind of like tower defense, but there's more to it than that. And then you venture out further and further, and you have to get back. Yeah, this is a cool game. Yeah,
it is.
I played this
years
ago.
It's very relaxing. Like, see. It's just you've got a horse. You need to go and get water. You need to farm.
You say it's relaxing, but is it also not the kind of game though that if you mess up, you do lose?
Oh, you're fucked.
A shit ton of progress.
Yeah,
like, you might put 3 years into building your fort, feeding your people, building your armies, and then you die, and then it's like, oh, you're set back.
As soon as you make a mistake with any, if you don't upgrade your defenses and you're stingy with the money, or you expand too much and your defenses aren't up to the ability to take all the heat.
Because now that I'm thinking about it, this is why I stopped playing this game.
Oh,
I
did
saw
you?
someone playing this, and I was like, "This looks really cool." And then I don't know if it was ever on PlayStation or was it only on PC. I can't remember where I played it.
It may have been on PlayStation because it's not.
I feel like I played it in PlayStation at one point, but I might be wrong. Anyway, I played it, and I spent like a fun night with it, and then I think I put it on the following night, and then I lost 4 years of progress, and I was just like, I'm done with this. I'm not putting myself through that again.
I think I've put like 40 hours in it, like since
wow,
5 years ago. Like I've just been playing it on the go, but it was one of those games where I just was like, I'm just really.
It's one of the games you can come back to, like you can go away and come back. Yeah.
Like they dropped DLC. I never realized that DLC, and I just bought that, and it's like they can go to other planet, like other kind of realms, and then you need to build up that thing. So you're just basically doing the exact same thing, but you're in a different environment, like every time you want to move on. But I would say if you ever want to play a game, it's even on the App Store. It must be on your phone. Fucking hell, it must be.
Oh, cool.
It must not be like a massive.
That would be quite
game.
a good game to, I guess, just sit on the toilet playing. It seems like one of those kind of games,
iPad
or lie in bed playing it. Like one of those.
Like a big enough.
Don't sit on the toilet playing games, you'll get piles. By the way, just
shit.
Just a disclaimer. I don't want anybody like I sat in the toilet playing.
Yeah, I usually spend about half an hour in the toilet. Is that bad?
I've got a brick breaking game, and I'm beating my record every day.
Brick breaking game.
It's like Tetris.
Is that when you pee on your poo?
It's toilet themed. No, it's just like Tetris, but mixed with Sudoku, kinda.
Okay.
And honestly, man, like
I'm thinking man's Tetris.
Constantly playing it, and my shits are getting longer and longer because of that game. Like I'm just like I can beat that score again. Yeah. It's getting a bit obsessive. Yeah, I got my legs are numb. I'm like, shit.
Oh yeah.
That's
a sign of a good effort.
I used to read.
That's you can be proud of what you've done in that day.
I used to sit in the toilet and read comics. I don't know how to do that anymore, but since I've moved in, but that used to happen all the time. I used to sit up. One more chapter, and then you stand up and you'd be like, "Oh my god, it's pins and needles and piles." Actually, yeah. Anyway,
when you get up and your leg just kind of goes a little bit jelly. Like, whoa! I don't think I've ever fallen over from that, but that'd be a bad day.
No, you do get a really dodgy feeling.
That might be a bad day. Comic book in your hand and shit it off.
You're like,
yeah, that was a bad day. Numb leg.
You don't know what to do. You don't want to
in the bath.
You're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hold on to the radio.
We're getting to Jerd, I've got a wee recommendation for you, man. You like kind of weird things, right? Like we kind of indie different things. Mm-hmm. So there's a game. I don't know if it's on PC, Chris, which is why I'm saying Jerd. It's on PS5 as a demo, and I had to look for this. So I was doing like my most anticipated games for 2023 for like FandomWire and looking up the games I want to pursue and whatever. And there's this game called Bramble the Mountain King. It's based on this old like Nordic folktale, and you play as this child, this Wayne, cutting about this hostile kind of forest environment where witches chase you. Jesus. Oh yeah, giants chase you, witches chase you. Bramble, the Mountain King. So I just happened to search it on the PlayStation Store just to see if it was going to be on PlayStation because I couldn't find it on Google to say like if it was just PC. And there's a demo for it on the PS Store, and I downloaded that and played it, and it's really fun. It's a platformer. It's really stylish. The art's distinct. It's pretty but gross in a way. It's worth checking out.
It's on Steam. It's on Steam.
Oh, is it? If the demo's on Steam, Chris, man, you should check it out. It's only half an hour. Like it's only a wee demo. It's got potential. I'm very much after playing that. I'm buzzing for the main release. Like
weird looking, alright.
Yeah, weird, different.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know, man. I wonder. I might sound spoiled here. I might sound entitled, but see, after playing so much, we're going to get into games for 2022. See, after playing so many action adventure games in this period, because all the action adventure games traditionally come out between like September and December, which just happens to be the period that I started reviewing games. See, after playing game after game after game, Call of Duty, Callisto Protocol, blah blah blah. See, just to get something different like this, it's such a breath of fresh air. It's so nice. It's like it reminds you why you play games. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is somebody trying something different. This is exciting. Hopefully it's not shit because I'm hyping up a lot. But if this is good, this is the reason I keep up to date with games. You know, it's for shit like this. People
see the screenshots.
Stuff.
Did you ever play that game called Limbo? That was a black and white one.
I guess it's that vibe.
It kind of gives that vibe, but it's color and 3D.
Yeah, it's more detailed. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
and it very much evokes that storybook feeling. You know, it feels like a really dark kind of Brothers Grimm fairy tale.
Hi, Brothers Grimm one. Fuck.
Yeah, but honestly, it's well worth checking out, man. Right, that's me. Sorry for totally hogging that segment there. I watched a lot this week.
I did last week. Fucking midnight. No shit.
Midnight.
The Wakandan force with the women and the suits and
what the fuck?
Midnight Angels.
Midnight Angels.
So we're potentially going to have So apparently,
is this hot?
Garia?
Denia Aguirre. Yep.
Yeah, that's
Michonne.
Michonne, yeah. I
great.
can call her Michonne or
is-
her character from Wakanda, but I can't call her real name.
She's great.
I've very rarely heard this. Apparently, she was on Stephen Colbert, and he goes, "Oh, I heard you're getting a show," and she's like, "Oh, I was told I can kindly allude to that, so I'm kindly alluding to that."
Oh.
So, Midnight Angels and Midnight Suns will have no connection with each other. Maybe they will. Maybe with the Midnight.
Yeah,
I
rework
said
it.
Midnight Boys, but no. Midnight Gang. Peeps. Yeah, so just thought it there. No, the reason something else caught my eye there on Instagram. I thought it was news
The thing is, they changed the entire lineup of the Thunderbolts for the show, so they could totally change the lineup for Midnight Suns. Like, it might not be the same.
Apparently, there's a rumor there could be a songbird in it, and were people saying there's maybe talk of the ginger one from Stranger Things, but I don't know.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, so I don't think that what they've announced so far, I don't think that's the final Thunderbolts lineup. What else was there?
How did this get announced, like today or yesterday?
I just saw it on Instagram there.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, the Midnight Angels thing. So that's the women in the, like, I guess they're comic book accurate, but they look like Power Rangers. So, like,
not great.
it's very, like, it's comic accurate is one thing, but like you don't need it. How is it so bright now again? Yeah, like it was like nighttime about half an hour ago to turn on my light.
British weather, mate. Irish weather.
Hey, none of that shit.
I corrected myself.
Fucking Irish weather, all right?
I corrected myself.
I caught myself. Who caught himself there?
I knew you were going to pull me up there. I jumped on that before
We're
you
just
went in.
waiting now for Banshees of Inisherin for the whole fucking cast and crew to be called British. Always fucking happens.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Saoirse Ronan. I think I saw a headline one time where it was like, Saoirse Ronan, British-Irish actress. She's no fucking connection to England at all. She's Irish.
I have to us as well. It's the same.
How can you call her Irish and British in the same fucking sentence?
The press and the BBC that want Andy Murray to be English so badly, man.
Oh, yeah.
Every time it goes round. Andy Murray,
the tennis player.
Oh,
they want him to be English so badly.
UK, so that's your fucking doing.
Well, they do it if he's winning. They say he's British, but when he's losing, he say, "Oh, the Scottish tennis player." So they always do it that back and forth.
Yeah, you fucking got pounds though, so
yeah.
You know.
My fault. I didn't vote for pounds.
I voted for Euro, mate. I voted for Europe.
Yeah. Braveheart lost.
Oh, we'll come back again. Hopefully.
You were going on last week about Kerry Condon and how Irish she sounded in Iron Man. We watched the first episode of Sons of Anarchy the other day just because we're going to do this like TV finales, and I was like, I'm going to go back try Sons again.
You watched the whole of Sons of Anarchy?
No, first episode. Just episode one. But Tommy Flanagan at one point walks in and goes, Jesus, Mary, Mother of God! And it's just, when it's all like, hey man, we've got to go, you know, it's all this Californian like biker talk, and then it's just, Jesus, Mary, Mother of God! Like,
Tommy Flanagan, isn't he not like, I think he's lived in America for like fucking
years. He's lived there.
Yeah, but he was a bouncer in Glasgow. That's how he got his chibs. He was a bouncer in Glasgow. Somebody smashed him. He was on it. He was on a door.
I don't know.
They're real.
He's got the Glasgow kiss.
But it's absolutely made his career.
Is that not when you like Glasgow Smile? No.
Yeah.
So he had that, and he was stitched back together.
Yeah. Oh, he's talked about it. I can't remember the name of the club, but it's a club in Glasgow that you've heard, like Chris, you've probably heard like your mum and dad talking about. Like it was a big popular club in like the 80s or something, and his jaw was hanging off. Like it was. I don't know what led to it, but like skin was hanging off, and yeah.
Is that not the kind of thing where you have to hold someone down to do it to them? You can't just go up and put them
down.
I think it was a gang. I think he got jumped. Like
you'd have to be held down for something like that.
Yeah, I think he was jumped. And then I remember saying he was lying in the lane. Like, somebody found him and phoned an ambulance. He was holding his cheeks together, like.
Okay, that's enough. I can't. That's too much. You'd probably have to put a fucking trigger warning on that, man.
That's not horrible. Cannibalism, like something wrong with the Johnsons.
I know, but that's an image.
A strong episode.
I go really awkwardly just edit in trigger warning. You use that exactly.
Trigger warning.
Honestly, people, I'm not. I wanted you to stop as soon as I asked that question. I was like, I wanted to ask the question, know the information, but somehow not hear it.
Don't hear it.
Shall
I
in
wanted
that
to
case,
have like learned it back in the day.
shall we move on? Shall we
Yeah.
finally go into our topic here?
Yeah.
Talk about the best TV and games of the past 12 months, 13 months.
Oh, sorry. I want to just for what we've been watching. Got to the point of crisis where it's no longer interesting, where you're just fighting aliens as opposed to
yeah.
humans.
Right.
But there's one final. I didn't realize it was the final kind of shootout place. There's one place you kind of go to, it's like an old mill. It kind of looks like that place from Days Gone. But
Okay.
I just somehow figured it's like it's not even. It's just like there's so after a certain point in the game, you do start to fight North Korean soldiers, and they've knock off. Well, it's all North Korean. They're the villains for most of the game. But towards a certain point, you're fighting then the guys with knockoff suits like you have. Mm-hmm. So they're a bit harder. Like they're going around with Gatling guns and they take a few more hits. Found it 2 fucking rocket launchers going to kill them, so it'll be grand. But I found a way from previously playing the game, I wasn't aware of it. I found from one area I was in, I could, if it took me a while to get up there, but I could basically climb a mountain or a big hill, and the last area I could just fucking snipe a load of them. So and when I done that, then I was like, oh, I kind of wanted to shoot more people, but then it's just kind of like floaty aliens and stuff, and it's not as enjoyable. But yeah, great game. Sorry.
I'll throw in, before we move on, I'll throw in one last plug. I mentioned earlier I was playing that Far Cry DLC. That's just a wee plug. I am going to do an article possibly this week, if I get round to the Witcher DLC, on the 5 kind of best and worst recent pieces of DLC content for games. And that'll probably come out this week, and that'll be in the description if I've written it by the time.
Would you play Spidey in there?
It's 2022 only, so it's not.
Okay.
What DLC are you playing with The Witcher?
The Netflix DLC. They released a complete edition recently, and it contains Geralt's suit from the show, so Henry Cavill's suit, and a mission based around some of the Netflix stuff. Apparently, I've tried to get The Witcher 3 several times and failed because there's just too much of it, in my opinion. And I've watched one episode of the show and didn't like it, so I don't really have much knowledge of The Witcher, but I'm eager to check out this DLC because it'll be interesting playing it after knowing what's happened with Cavill in real life with The Witcher show. And
did you see there was a petition on change.org, over 300,000 people have got to say you need to get Cavill back because of that. It's not going to happen.
No,
but
none of it's Snyder. They've done it with it's mean nothing. So that article will be out and might be linked below. But let's go into the topic. So
finally. 2 hours
I know.
So basically, games
and shows. Movies, right? And you enjoyed in the last months.
If there were this, maybe we should just start with anything from this year, and then we go on to just what we played.
Sure. Let's just get the game stuff out because I feel like the TV stuff's going to be more significant. The game stuff, I will include another article below, just plugging all my shit. I did a Game of the Year list for FandomWire. Me and my colleague Luke at FandomWire, the two of us contributed and said what both our favourite games were and listed a few of them. So, I liked that below. But one of the games on that list that I'd like to speak about primarily, because Jerd also has a connection to it, is Rollerdrome. Rollerdrome.
Yes.
See, looking back over the year, I really enjoyed. Did I enjoy the Quarry? The Quarry was interesting to play through. Games like Callisto Protocol I enjoyed at the time. But see, looking back over the year in terms of games that are different, we spoke about that. Well, Rollerdrome's kind of a throwback, so I guess it's not common, but it's not necessarily new.
Elements, yeah.
It's a blending of ideas.
It's a bit of both. It's kind of new in its own way, but it is retro.
It's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater meets Max Payne, but they absolutely capitalize and nail that concept. When you tell me this new game is going to be Tony Hawk meets Max Payne, I'm expecting some of the most badass shit I've ever played, and that's absolutely hit that. And that's a high expectation because Tony Hawk and Max Payne are two of my favourite games from when I was young. You know what I mean? So that's a high bar, and this game just knocked it out of the park, man. Absolutely lived up to that. And the design was cool. It was like Death Race 2000, or what's that anime? Is it Akira? It had this sort of cool cel shaded vibe to it. It was stylish. It was fun. Have they now put in online play? I think, because that was my one complaint at the time.
No,
There was no online play. No, do you know what it is? Sorry, no, I'm talking shite. The other game I was going to talk about was Metal Hellsinger. Metal Hellsinger was a Doom game where you shot to the music. Metal Hellsinger, great game. I recommend that. It's Doom, right? But there's heavy metal songs that were written for the game, and a different track plays on each level, and you need to shoot in time with the beat. Well, you don't need to, but you do way more damage. So it's like a rhythm game meets Doom. It's great. And the one complaint I had about that was that you couldn't put your own songs in. Like, see if you could, as I was thinking, like Guitar Hero, like see if you could like implement your own music in. That would be incredible. And they've since updated it. So you can do that
with the Guitar Heroes. You can upload.
I think you can now with the modern one. I've not played Guitar Hero since you couldn't, so I don't know, but I think you can now. But yeah, sorry. So Metal Hellsinger. I'll just shout out the three: Metal Hellsinger, Evil West, which was it felt like an old PS2 game with PS5 graphics, tons of fun, and Roller Drome. If you're wanting three games that aren't just run of the mill, COD games, as great as Warzone 2 was this year, I've enjoyed it. I've spent loads of hours in Warzone 2 and I've enjoyed it. You know what you're getting. If you want something that's maybe a bit more unique, I say Roller Drome and Metal Hellsinger. I mean, both, like I said, both are incorporating old ideas. Metal Hellsinger is just Doom and Guitar Hero mixed together, and Roller Drome is really just Tony Hawk and Max Payne mixed together. But both of them execute on that idea beautifully to the extent that they're both they're both incredible. And Evil West just hit my nostalgia bone. Like, it's a badass game where you can uppercut vampires and you're a cowboy, and it's just fun.
Yeah, I've seen some reviews and stuff for it.
It's not. It's a bit tacky. It's a bit silly. It's fun, and that's what I really want. At the end of the day, that's what I want for a game.
Aww.
So there's my three games. Play them. Guys, I don't know, have you played anything recent that you want to talk about, or would you like to just speak about games that you played this year as opposed to stuff that came out this year?
I would say two games that I played are old games, but they came out on PC this year.
Right, okay.
So that was my first kind of experience playing it. Well, I'll put the pig in the bag. The first game I really fucking enjoyed was Spider-Man when it came out on PC. Like, I think it was either August this year. Fucking amazing. Like, I was mind blown. It brought me back to the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2 and PlayStation 2 kind of era. One of the games where you just realize, I mean, it's a Spider-Man story. It's not going to be emotion filled. Some of it anyway. But Jerd, I disagree.
I think it hit that.
Oh yeah, I hit it with the ending. With the main.
That's the thing with that game, and it's the thing with, I guess, any Spider-Man story. It changed quite a lot of the traditional stuff from the comics. Yeah. I don't mind when they do that, as long as you keep that iconic tone and heart that Spider-Man has. See, as long as that's there, what you want, kill whatever characters you want, bring in a cat, change people, change origins. I don't care. See, as long as they've got that heart that you know from the character Spider-Man, go for it. It's
because he's a bit older as well. Like, I enjoyed that.
I would
have liked it.
He wasn't as old as like he's still only 23 or something like.
No, he was 26 or 27, I think. But
it's
great game.
It's so much fun. So much fun.
I
think I was showing you with toys before, but that particular move where you can like web zip to a ledge and then bounce off.
The mechanics
and that kind of stuff. Just fucking around with that, the physics of
mechanics.
That's the one thing. If you enjoy a game, there's that real sweet spot where you're just fucking about with the engine and seeing what you can do in certain situations and what's possible. Sometimes things just happen. You're like, oh, that's class.
How did I do that again? Yeah, what did I press?
That's one thing with Spider-Man. You get all those abilities in this game. I tested out everyone. Like, that's like, I don't do that in a lot of games. I'm going to test out everything.
Yeah,
but,
I didn't bother with the gadgets with Peter at all. Like, well, I guess Miles doesn't really have as many gadgets. He has more electricity powers, but I'm like, that's a part of his power set, so I felt more comfortable using them. But with Spidey, I just the big web shot and some of the other web ones. But
the one that hits them at the wall, like, kind of thing.
Yeah, one shot kind of blast, or the web bombs. I was like, I'm okay with using them. The really fun one is the web bomb, and then when they're all webbed, but they're just kind of standing there, you just hit them with the shockwave, and they all stick to the wall.
To the wave, yeah.
That's good crack.
We'll do this episode next week when we do the most anticipated for 2023. But one thing I'd really like to do next week is or maybe not next week, but one thing I'm really excited about in 2023 is not just the release of Spider-Man 2, but speculating before it, like what's going to happen, what's the story going to be. That kind of hype period just before the game, man. I'm excited to have something like that to look forward to. And
when's it? We don't know. We don't have a date or a rough date.
I think it's like September, October.
It'll be the end of the year.
It'll be around there. But because I was actually, I won't go into it right now. But I had some predictions the other day. I was thinking about it. I was like, like since they do things different, it would be cool if Miles ended up with a Venom suit before Peter does the symbiote suit, and then
it'll be electrified.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. We'll talk about it in depth at the time. But
I guess we don't know. If we don't exactly know who. Like by the end of the first game, you finished it, Chris?
Oh yeah.
Dan, Jesus Christ. So by the end of the first game, it's hinted that the symbiote suit is around Harry, or it's what's trying to help him with his whatever health problems he has, or Norman has created the symbiote suit. We don't know if it's going to be Harry who's actually Venom. Like we have a little allusion to him from the previous game, but like we've never met Eddie Brock in this, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I'd like if they just like whatever. Okay, I prefer the alien goo like it is in the comics, but or in the main comics.
I
kind of prefer if it was Eddie. It's like that's Venom. Like you don't need to be swapping around characters.
Yeah,
sometimes it's fun, or whenever you like say it was something in particular in the Ant-Man trailer with MODOK, it's pretty much out there everywhere. It's all funny just to see that one snippet of your man and his giant head. And I kind of expected them to do like CGI in his face, but his face just looks normal. So it's just a giant head. So funny. I was seeing someone going like, "Oh, I want like a MODOK for my Marvel Legends." I was like, "You could just get a mask, and you could be MODOK." Let's go around. I must get a little MODOK mask for Halloween or something. But. Yeah, so I'm like, you don't need to, like, it can be, like, so in that, I'm like, yeah, look, it's an alternate universe, this is what happened in this universe. Because you do see that in the comics a lot, too, in the show alternate universes.
Yeah.
Another character is that character, like, one of the Spider-Man crossovers I'm watching now is, like, Kraven, there's a Kraven Spider-Man, or the Hunter Spider kind of thing. So, it happens. But Jesus, yeah, like, I think, for me playing... So I have the PS4 version on my PS5 of the original, but I have the PS5 version of Miles, and that's a big jump. Right. And I can only imagine what the amount, because it's only PS5 that's coming out on. I guess you'll get it on PC eventually, but probably quicker than you got it the last time, because they fucking threw out the Peter and Miles for the PC.
Yeah, this year.
Like in 2 or 3 months was only the difference. Like,
yeah.
And have you played the DLC for Spider-Man PC?
I've played all the ones for Peter. I've not touched Miles.
Because it was included in the PC release, wasn't it? The DLC was all included.
Yeah. And that was the thing that a lot of people just thought, like, as much as people love that game, when the DLC came out, people were like, nah. This ain't it.
It was fine. Like,
it's not great. It's just like it felt like the couple of issues after you'd read a massive story in Spider-Man. They'd just be like, okay, let's just bring someone else in and you can scrap him for the
what it was for me was like a podcast game. Like, I put the subtitles on and I put a podcast on, and I had fun playing that game, listening to a podcast, and not really half following the story.
I don't really count
but it was just more fun gameplay.
Yeah,
that's all it really was. Well, listening to podcasts, like.
I think for most games, I don't have a game, like I was saying that before, I don't really have a game that can do that now. Even if it's like kind of like the wrestling game, I'm like, I kind of want to hear the sound. Like,
I've not done it because I'm reviewing stuff now. I can't really do that, so I've not done it in a long time, to be fair. But I used to do it. I used to do that all the time. Like all the Far Cry games, I used to do it, and
yeah. I guess certain games, it can be fun. Or what I would do sometimes is I would turn off the music, the in-game music, and just play whatever on my. So like,
on Spotify.
Like I was saying that like. I was playing the Spider-Man game, but I was playing fucking the Daredevil team. It goes really well. The vibe. Oh, actually, I think it could be the same fucking... I only figured it out while we were on the podcast one day. It's the same musician guy. It's in Pasadena or something does. And the Miles, actually, that's one of my... I really like that Miles song. It kind of remixes the Peter one and adds more beats and stuff into it.
Mm-hmm.
The boss fights, what you think of them? Yeah, Chris?
They were good. They were good. They were. The only thing I thought was really repetitive was the side missions. Like I loved every bit about the game. Like even the boss battles, you were like mostly massive punch bags, and you got to experiment with all your different abilities. But the thing that took me out was the repetitive. Like you jump on a car, you chase it.
Yeah.
To get, because I wanted to get 100% of it, which I did, but I felt like, oh my god. And I'm glad I done it within the game. That I never completed the story.
There was a certain part of it. Was it the Taskmaster missions that you had to do, and you had to get a certain gold grade on everything to get the platinum trophy? That was a pain in the arse.
Oh, that was awful. Yeah, that was
with the challenges. You don't you can get 100% within the game without doing them all to getting the gold in them. So just competing in all the challenges gets to the 100%. But I don't know if that affects your platinum, because that's the thing. I was like,
I think the platinum.
I've never platinumed the game before. I want to do, if I'm going to do it for any game, I have to do Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I think the platinum was 100, get gold on 10 of the challenges. It wasn't all of them, but it was a portion.
Yeah, the traversal ones I just couldn't improve on. It's a bit fun to do them at time, but it's fucking so hard. And I think you nearly need to want to spend a fucking for some of them. In my mind, anyway, I nearly need to spend a couple of hours.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't even. I improve. Sometimes I can improve on them, but my plan was when I've done all the story missions, I'll go back and just try and do all the traversal things again and just keep at them so it get better.
It was kind of like a diet version of the Valkyries in God of War, which I think is Chris's next game. That
was actually going to go into that. Yeah, that was.
But the Valkyries, that was a challenge man fighting them.
So they're repeating bosses that you hunt down, or they just show up.
You just come across them in certain locations. Yeah. They're not a part of the story. You just kind of come across them, and
they're not part of one where you notice them or no.
Or maybe, I don't know, maybe. That's been a while since I played it.
Valkyrie thing over there.
There you go.
But
I fight them later.
The last one, that it reminded the last Valkyrie reminded me of why I don't play Souls games anymore. Do you know what I mean? I was dying and going, I've got a life now. I can't afford to sit and play this for 6 hours just to get the platinum. It was that feeling where it was I think I had to go and do stuff, and it just took up half my day. And by the end of it, I didn't feel good about it. I was it was a wasted afternoon. I don't know. I don't enjoy games that are that challenging personally. I'll probably get slagged for that for being a game reviewer, but
no, I get to that level of I've spent half an hour here. I am not letting this bastard get the better of me, and then I spend an hour and I'm still losing, and I'm like, fuck it.
It's great. It's a great feeling when you get
Oh yeah, it's great.
But I never got to them, but I got to the place where you first see the world serpent, and then maybe you go to I went to one alternate universe or alternate realm or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But there's certain places where you can open a portal and 3 guys come out and they're really fucking hard to fight.
Yeah.
That's great crack. It's contish because you're trying it so much.
But see, once you've got, have you finished it yet?
No. That's so I got to the place where you see the world serpent. And then I saw one of the other planes, and that's all I've done.
Game mechanics and kind of learning what you can do, in the kind of end game when you've got the best armor and the best weapons, that goes to being a challenge. Those parts with the 3 guys to just
destroy
how
them.
Can I mix and match these weapons and just dispatch them in different ways. It becomes just a kind of fun, creative. How can I take these guys out as quick as possible? Creatively as stylish as it gives you all these options to when you've just got the axe and you've got the armor, it's hard. But when it's in the the last couple of hours of the game, you're kind of OP. You're just backing these guys down, and it's just a case of you really it's your imagination that's the only kind of limit. You're just what can I do to these pricks?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
It's kind of just about the Spider-Man. We were meant to say there in regards to the boss fights of that. They're very they're not. I don't think they're very well spread out. There's some at the start of the game, and then there's a load at the end, and that's it. But and then they also Rhino and Scorpion are thrown in together, Vulture and Shocker are thrown in together, and they're in confined places. Even though they're both open air, you can't leave those places. Yeah. So I always remember from Web of Shadows, which one thing I found really fun. And I think some games do it where they re-released it. If it's an open world kind of superhero game, I've heard of some games doing it. I think maybe Ultimate Spider-Man did it, where they just release Rhino in the game every once in a while to rob a bank. That's something I'd love to see. Instead of I'd even really appreciate that more than DLC. It's just all the rogues gallery from the film just keep showing. Taskmaster shows up twice, but if they showed up, just robbing robbing a bank and then you fight them in the real world.
Almost like procedural, like just random.
Yeah, just do it, like, because you're throwing it, like, you'll keep people playing the game. Like,
that's something though that I think that what we were saying earlier about the next Spider-Man hopefully only being on next gen hardware. I feel like they can push all of that. I feel like the boss fights are going to. Yeah, okay, you can accuse them of being a bit sort of constrained in the first game.
Yeah.
I can see in this new game going through. I mean, you had that bit in Miles Morales when you're on Rhino's back going through.
Yeah, but they're still kind of on a track. Yeah, like, that's not something that just happens in the game.
But I think I can see them in this new game though, using the PS5 hardware to really make it more, random procedural.
Yeah.
Everybody has a different experience. It's we can on a podcast be like, oh, where did you fight this guy? Where did you fight that? The kind of, I guess it's a kind of Red Dead 2 approach. Like that was more kind of sporadic that way. Like different things happen in different locations and stuff.
Here's the Tony Hale, the voice actor. Can you play Candyman? He's the voice actor for Venom.
Okay.
Is Tony Hale the guy from Arrested Development? But I have to look it up. He was saying something now. I don't know if he's done a lot of voice work, or particularly worked on games, because he said something about he was on about the game in general. Like, he wasn't saying much, but he was just saying the game in general is like that bit with Rhino and Miles in that game. It's like that, but all over. And I was kind of like, that kind of maybe sounds like he's just an owl lad, and they maybe showed him some of the previous games, like give him like a little 30-minute video. He's like, that's cool, because it does look cool.
Yeah.
But like, maybe as a gameplay thing, it's like, well, that's it's like but I don't know. Maybe he's more familiar with computer games than I don't know. I assume he has done some voice work because he's a great voice.
A stage question of
Tony Todd, sorry.
A stage question of like quick time events. I guess that's the make or break. But
yeah, but sorry. Web of Shadows. What I meant by that was, and from God of War is where I got there. I remember, and it was one of my favorite moments ever in a Spider-Man game. Even though I don't find that game that good now, but when you're fighting Vulture, because he's flying around, I purposely led him down into the alleyways to kind of fight him like a spider, to bring him into the closed caption space, because you have more avenues to hit him. Then when he's just up in the air, you can just zip to him, but when he's there, you can jump off the wall and get him and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I love that element of
be able to use your brain, your spidey brain.
Able to use your brain, but also able to use the environment freely, and as you can kind of create more enjoyment out of it that way.
Yeah.
As opposed to it's like, no, you're in this big square and you have to hit these two guys.
See, that's what's amazing about, like, how have they? That was like came out in 2008. I remember I hated playing the Vulture when you turned into Venom, when he had the Venom suit on.
Yeah,
I hated that. But like, see, those games, that was like 14 years ago. How the hell can you not make something? I'm guessing it's just the developers that are actually making it.
Well, it's by choice there again a bit, like, because there's a lot of negative aspects to that game too. That this game has blown out of the water, like the story, the writing, the voice acting in some of the cases, like Spider-Man. Like, it was fun at the time, and it was fairly like aware. Like, it had the Stark Tower from the new Avengers run with the big sentry thing popping over the top of it. So that was really good. I think so. We're at this phase out. We're not getting fucking TV shows this time. So we're just Dan's on mute. Yeah, we're not going to get to TV shows. So this is just the games episode. Apparently. Let me see. Is it? That's trying to speak on them.
Well, I can give my next one. Then. Like the next one was, what was it? Oh, have you ever played the Monkey Island series?
Yeah, no, I've not played them, but I'm very aware of what they were. They're like point-and-click puzzle games. They're very nostalgic, and they've done a re-release.
How dare you minimalise them?
Is it not something to do with George Lucas? Was it not LucasArts that made?
It was LucasArts. That's what it was. Yeah, I think he was the producer of it or whatever, the gaming place of it. But yeah, that came out. The sequel, Return to Monkey Island, was a masterpiece. It brought a lot of nostalgia from like early 2000s playing the point and click games. But yeah, if you're into that kind of thing, I would definitely recommend. Guybrush Threepwood returns, the same voice actor. It's fantastic. And you'll get to go over Monkey Island and everything all over again, which is beautiful. It's actually very difficult. I hate those games now. I am too focused on tell me where to go rather than just you can explore. You have to find out your way.
Yeah,
I'm now.
it can be.
It can be hard.
Yeah, I had a little moment like that in Crisis earlier. There's a bit where you first go into the spaceship. No, that's exactly the same thing, but there's a spaceship in a mountain, and then you go into it, and then the gravity's gone, and then I was just like, it felt like 20 minutes, was probably only like 10, but like just going around the space trying like because the gravity goes, so you can go in any direction. I'm like, where the fuck do I go? Like, there's nothing clear. And then it was just some slight vent off the side of this big fucking room I was in, and I was like, okay.
No, it shows you how, like, because I remember when I played games when I was younger, like, you didn't really follow the rules. You went and investigated your own stuff. But see, since now, I'm so reliant on like instructions. Go here, go and visit the wizard.
You go
go
back
to
to
this
no game
village.
now. You go back to no game now that's not got that, and you forget how much effort it took to get through a level. Like, there's no waypoints. There's
give us a
no
fucking clear
hints.
objective. If you haven't played it in ages, and like you don't know if you're at the start of the map or the end of the map.
Do you even
and
like?
you're like,
Do you
what was
remember
the
like like Medal of Honor? On this is going back on PS1. Like you were just told to get through somewhere in a barracks. It was a big mission, and you had like an ID thing, and you would go up to the Nazis and say, "I am
didn't tell you what to do. Yeah.
and you had no.
I am a person.
I am this person.
That's me.
I'm not. I'm yeah. They don't like the. Yeah.
It's so bad. It shows you how shit we are.
Medal of Honor was such a great game from memory, at least.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. So like, I never really was into the World War II thing, and I was just like,
yeah.
Give me a green suit, and I'll wear it. Yeah.
Speaking of that sort of thing, though, there was a game that came out this year that had so much of that just running around the same areas and trying to find where to go with absolutely no hints, and it felt like a dated game in a bad way.
Right, okay.
I'm pretty sure it was Unsound Mind. A game that I reviewed just before Christmas called Unsound Mind, a PC game. It's a kind of first-person horror game, and it has some interesting mechanics. Like, there was ghosts chasing you, and you had like a mirror, but you could only see them in the mirror. So like you couldn't see them in person, you could hear them, so you'd have to face away from them and hold the mirror to see where they were, and then avoid them. So it was interesting. Like, there was wee things that were cool, but then you would get past that stage, and then you would just spend, like, it would be quite scary, and there'd be a lot of tension, and you'd try to be quiet and sneaky, and then there'd be like an hour where you're just running about corridors, like, where is this door I have to go through? And it turns out there was a button and an event that you had to crawl through that didn't have any button prompt to open it. You had to go up and, like, it was just so like that way, and there was no hints, and it was like, I don't have the time for this. Like, in 2022, I've got shit to do. I'm nearly 30. Like, I don't have time to run about corridors for 40 minutes, and that's what I was going to say about.
I'm going to sit in the toilet for 3 hours later.
Play a brickmaking game. To be fair, what we were talking about earlier with the difficulty of games now. I just want to kind of justify that a wee bit, because I feel like I'm going to not empty comments in our videos, but after this empty comment, I feel like I'm going to be like, me, this guy's a game reviewer and he's saying games are too hard. What a gimp!
He's covering himself. He's covering himself.
But the thing is, though, for me, the reason those games, I can hear the comments just now being like, "Oh, get good, like, try harder." No. But like, for me, those games, right, they're not worth the frustration they cause for me personally.
Yeah,
like,
there has to be a balance.
Even I've died,
be frustrating and annoying,
even I've died
all the time.
Literally 30 or 40 deaths playing Demon's Souls, right? And the screen goes black, and you're sitting and you're like, ugh! And then sometimes when the screen goes black, I catch myself in my TV, sit on my couch, like, shake my fist, and I'm like, you're nearly 30, what are you doing? And then I just need to put it off. Like, you catch a glimpse of yourself and you're like, get a grip. Like, and for me, it's not worth that sort of stress and frustration. Anyway, maybe I'm just a pure pussy. I need to get good. I don't know, but that's just my take.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, like I heard some game reviewer saying there that he reviews games on easy just to get through them, or maybe he practices the games before he actually.
They
might be video on some video guys.
What I've caught myself doing now, I'll play the first couple of levels on regular, and then I'll drop it to easy, because I've got a feel for what the game in my mind should feel like. So I know kind of the gameplay, and then I'm like, right, let's get through the story. and I drop it
let's
to easy,
listen
just
to
so I can bash through it in a couple of days. Like if the review's due by Friday and I start the game on Monday, I'll spend Monday night playing it on medium, get a feel for the game, and then the next few nights I'll just bash through it in easy. Like that is my technique usually now for playing games. And also, I've got this whole thing about like games justifying their value. If a game's good enough, then like God of War, I will go back and I will persist with the hardcore difficulty, just to get the platinum.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 2, I done it with Resident Evil 2 as well. I played that in hardcore because to me the game is good enough that it justifies your time. Like that's my thing. For me, these games are competing for the consumer's time. These games, there's a lot of games out there, a lot of good games. There's only so many hours in the day. We've all got lives. For me, and they're expensive. For me, these games, they have something to prove to the audience, and if they prove, like Spider-Man, like Resident Evil, like God of War, these games that are really worth sinking into, then that for me, that's like those are the games of the year. When I think back for something that's earned, it kind of stands the test of time. It's always those kind of games, that kind of really, I soak everything out of it, and then you kind of have that moment at the end, especially if it's free roam. You're just Spider-Man, say you're standing on top of the Empire State and you've done everything. You're just looking about like I've done everything in this. That's a nice feeling,
Completed it, mate.
It's like a completionist thing, and then you're like, right, I can uninstall this game, and I feel like I didn't waste my money, I didn't waste my time, I got everything out of that game. I can delete it and move on to something else. And then you play something. Yeah. The horrible thing about that is, though, the next game you play after a game like that is always so disappointing, I find. Like, say after playing Ghost of Tsushima, I went on to something that wasn't a bad game, but after playing Ghost of Tsushima, it was like, you know what I mean? It's hard. That feeling sucks because it's not the game's fault. It's when you played it after playing The Last of Us or, a kind of masterpiece. It's,
Anyway. Is it Neo? N-I-O-H? There's some like samurai game or sword game. It's Asian. I think it's samurai. But for some reason, it's just an Irish lead character.
Oh, is it? I don't know about that.
There's Neo. One, it's like he's got grey hair, but just for whatever reason, he's like a samurai, and it looks a little bit Ghost of Tsushima. Or maybe
Neo
Devil May Cry-ish.
This is getting
the character's just Irish for whatever reason.
Let's just go on our rant here because this is getting into the issue I have with the impact that Souls games have had on the industry. Souls games are innovative. People love them. They have a fan base. They sell lots, and that's great. Good for them. Big success. High five. Right, but the knock-on effect that has on other games, we see it every generation. Like PS3 was a cover shooter. Every generation has that game, and the current mold is the Souls-like, and so many of these games that come out, like Neo and stuff. I'll see the trailers and I love the aesthetic and I love the story. Look at like what they set up in the trailer, and then I'm like, oh, it's a Souls-like. This is going to take me 100 hours. I'm going to die a million times. Like that sucks so much fun out of like get the hype of a game for me. When I see that word Souls-like, I'm just like,
it's just repetitive.
I'm going to run to the dog out, but you guys keep going. I'll be right back.
All right. Well, I've got nothing.
Jerd, you said you had games that you played this year that didn't come out this year. Do you want to go through a few of them?
Yeah, I'm just double checking here. So I just randomly found an article of Irish characters in computer games.
Just try to shove some
NIOA. And one I always kind of liked as a kid, but I didn't really pay much attention to it. Anna and Nina Williams from Tekken are Irish sisters. And there's like some fucking Red Dead characters there and stuff. So what did I play? So one big thing I guess for me would be, well, to be fair, I haven't played it as much as like I've enjoyed collecting games for it.
Right, okay.
So I have a PS2 in my just had a PS2 when I moved into this house, and no one claimed it, so I was like, "Sound, it'll just be mine now."
Mine.
So I've gotten of the collection so far. Resident Evil 2 for the PS1, Resident Evil 3 for the PS1, X-Men Legends 1 and 2, Marvel's Ultimate Alliance, Grand Theft Auto, San Andreas, Vice City, Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 for the PS2. So you can play the PS1 games on the PS2. I haven't played much of it, but just the whole idea of it, like even there I was just kind of panicking thinking about it. I was like, I gotta play Resident Evil and I don't have quick saves. And it's like, it'll be so much more challenging.
No, I would say, see X-Men Legends 2. Oh my god. Is that not the one that's called like Rise of the Apocalypse? or something.
Yes,
Rise of Apocalypse.
exactly. Exactly.
That was brilliant. Wolverine was my guy when I played him.
Yeah, well, it's very hard not to have Wolverine being
Yeah,
like your best
your main guy.
your best scored guy because he's just on your team the whole time. Yeah. So the last couple of years now, so I was replaying them on my PC through emulators the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And I've only, in this replay, I'm only playing on the first one still. I'm not even that far into it, but now I'm like, well, from my view of X-Men now,
Well,
like Jean Grey is a powerhouse. I usually have her on. I like her to be just damn near fucking invincible. Like, so playing a bit of that, I got Spider-Man 2. I don't think I mentioned that, but I don't see it there.
oh, the PS2 game, Spider-Man 2.
Yeah,
Oh,
and I'm gonna guess. I want to get then Ultimate Spider-Man.
Oh yes,
Which is
that's a
came out after that. The web slinging is kind of related, but I don't think it's they kind of dumbed it down a little bit. And then
it's a cartoon version, kind of, isn't it?
yeah,
That
cel
one?
shaded, yeah.
Yep.
It's kind of like arguably it's set in the Ultimate Comics universe. Like it's an in between quill of the Ultimate Comics. And I want to get Hulk Ultimate Destruction, which is funnily enough the prototype for prototype essentially because it's the same company who made it. So
They were
some
just
of the
test
similar
the
moves
waters.
there. Yeah, well, they just ended up moving on after that Hulk game, and they used that same engine then to make the prototype game. So that's another game I wouldn't actually mind getting back to. They were great crack back in the day.
Have you played the? I'm guessing it's a silly question. Have you actually played the Ultimate Spider-Man? Are these all games you've played?
Oh yeah. I did anything I've bought recently. I don't think there's anything there I haven't played before. Yeah,
Because the best thing I loved about the Ultimate Spider-Man, where you could transform into Venom and literally just roam about as Venom.
Oh yeah, you switch. So in Web of Shadows, you invoke the powers of the suit, but in
you could just
Ultimate,
switch to Venom.
You switch over to Venom. Yeah.
You just consume people. It's like
Yeah,
just the best.
well, a lot of that Venom gameplay is very similar to the Hulk Ultimate Destruction game.
Are you still talking about Spider-Man?
Oh yeah, we're talking
always
about he's never stopped, man. It's like the train.
Oh, I was talking about Spider-Man. How did I get there? No, just general PS2 games.
General PS2.
Oh,
yeah, because that's like again, I haven't been playing a fuckload of them, but that's what I've been trying to amass, so I can.
Well, my next video essay for FandomWire is going to be why PS2 was the greatest generation of gaming. Funny enough, that's going to be my next video essay. So yeah, I've not started it yet.
I've not really seen much. Like, no, it would be funny, but like PS3 was all right. Like I remember when I started with PS3, and then it was PS4. From PS4 to PS5, there's not really been any game changers, really. I mean, I might be completely
The Last of Us
wrong.
Is the last one. I say the Last of Us is the last one.
Well, Last of Us is 3, isn't it? You said from 4 to 5.
Yes, yeah.
Well, 4's got some, like, there's got some, and 4, I guess, has X amount of sequels.
Yeah, it's a lot of sequels in it.
Like Spider-Man's come out towards the end of it.
Listen, Spider-Man and God of War are great, but there's not been something that's moved the needle since Last of Us, in my opinion.
Really? You wouldn't think God of War is up at the same level?
God of War is like a 9. It's not a 10. It's a 9. It's a great, incredible, achievement. Same with Spider-Man. Same with a few other games, but
yeah. Well, I know more non-Spider-Man obsessed gamers. I think Spider-Man's all right, but it gets a bit repetitive.
It's a great exclusive. Like for me, it's a great exclusive, but it's not. It's not one of the greatest games ever made. It's are you guys getting more games in the barrel since we're on it PS2? Are we done?
I was saying there. I don't know if you were listening. We won't be doing TV today.
Well, I was just going to say. I mean, it's ironic that before we started, I was like, we're definitely going to talk about TV more than games, and then we spoke for donkeys.
Yeah. I don't even think like.
Well, we just rhyme off.
That's what happens. Sometimes if we could do the news, watching shit. It can kind of just like when we get to the
derails.
topic.
Yeah.
We got really excited at the start of it, and then we're like, okay, we don't have as much time to do this now, so we're trying to get as much in.
Instead of, I'm just going to say that, talk about not having enough time. See, instead of going in like in depth, but we just rhyme off 3 TV shows that you watched in 2022 that you've really enjoyed that you would recommend. Just 3 seasons of this. For me, I'll go first. Better Call Saul.
Oh.
The final season. Peacemaker.
Oh
yeah.
And The Handmaid's Tale.
What? You've missed one. I am shocked.
Well, on you go, man. I don't want to take yours.
The Boys season 3.
The Boys was great. Pinnacle.
I am going to say The Sandman. I really enjoyed that from Netflix.
I still haven't seen it.
I thought
I've
it
not
was
seen it.
really. I dived into the audiobooks before I watched The Sandman, and I think that's what made me hyped even more. And then I bought some of Neil Gaiman's the comics and read them, and I think that's what made it the hype for me really excited. The Boys, I don't need to say anything. That was just fucking extreme violence at the best.
Great season. Really strong season.
The last one, I was going to say Peacemaker, but since you took that, I was going to say Andor. I really enjoyed Andor. Even though I was ripping it to shreds before, I was like, actually, it's a good show.
I have to get into that now.
I'm going to get to it.
I was supposed to start it last week, but I haven't really got. I think I'm only 2 episodes in.
I'll get to it.
So I might try and power through that tomorrow.
Jerd, is there 3 shows that you've seen in the last year that you just stand out to you?
Severance.
Oh,
that was pretty good. I like the idea of that.
Not seen it, but yeah, let's go.
I'm in a kind of corporate job now too, so I don't know.
That's the one on Apple TV, isn't it?
Yeah.
Adam Scott. Yeah, Adam Scott. Yeah. Station 11. I don't know if it's really my favorite, like one of my favorites, but I liked it a lot. Anyway,
Station 11.
So strangely, it was at least written. I don't know. It was possibly shot before the pandemic, but it's about a pandemic.
All right. Okay.
Oh my god.
But an alternative one, and it flashes forward. So it's got like kind of present day, which is kind of forgotten about pretty quickly. But they do then. So the 2 lead characters, and when it just first happens, is I guess it's more about the girl. But this guy goes to a play. He's the first kind of point of view character. And some guy dies on stage. I don't know, does he die from a heart attack or is it just from this pandemic thing that's coming along? Mm-hmm. But somehow he gets chatting to this little girl who I don't like. She's like, it seems like she's from a really wealthy family and her parents just brought her to the play and they were supposed to pick her up afterwards. But then like the pandemic is breaking out and it's the kind of thing that you get and you're dead in like a couple of hours kind of thing. So she ends up the guy's from kind of eastern part of the world. He's like Indian or Pakistani in origin, but he ends up just taking this little girl in, and then that's only the very start of the story, and then it's flash forwards to who's the girl from? Oh, she's in Blade Runner. She's the physical robotic prostitute.
Anna de Armas.
Mackie Davis?
She was in Terminator.
Yeah, I know who you mean.
Mackenzie, no?
Mackenzie, yeah, I'd say Mac.
Yeah.
Mackenzie, right. Yeah. So so as opposed to the
hologram.
Alexa prostitute, or whatever that situation was. But yeah, so she's the little girl when she's older and they're in like a traveling theatre company.
I just thought that somebody out there somewhere that's got an Alexa and playing this out on a speaker, they might have just accidentally ordered
Alexa porn or Alexa prostitute.
Yeah, just accidentally ordered one to their Alexa. So apologies if
yeah, so she's in like a theater company when she's older, and they're just traveling around, but like it's obviously there's a lot of dark shit going on. So sorry, the world never comes back to where it was. It's back to like Western times, basically. And it follows a couple of different people who just like it. Yeah, it has flashbacks in both cases. So there's also an airport where X amount of people just stay in the airport and then they make it like a community kind of thing. Kind of interesting. There's an Irish actor who I don't think I'd seen in anything that wasn't an Irish film before is in it. He kind of shows up. And Tank Girl, that actress, is in it. There's a couple of just kind of random people who show up.
I thought it was going to be your third show there.
No, I was like, what's Tank Girl?
What's your third? Remember Tank Girl from the 90s? Oh, you know.
Yeah, they've done a show. Did they not make a show this year? Or is it being made? I think it's being made.
Oh,
they're doing it. First I've heard. Yeah, Tank Girl was like a very weird comic that they made in the 90s. So in the comic in the 90s, I guess after Batman, they just made X amount of weird things in the comic books.
Yeah.
Like Barbed Wire or Pamela Anderson. And like, yeah, there's like some humanoid kangaroos in it. It's very weird. But the actress from that is in it. She's a very kind of strong character actress. So I don't think she's in it a crazy amount from what I saw. It's only the first season out, I think. But there were 2 just first seasons that I saw this year. I was like, yeah, very enjoyable. I'm not really one for getting stuck into TV shows, really. I guess Stranger Things, I'm like, yeah, whatever.
So a season.
Oh yeah, the hamburger this year.
It did have a sort of that came out this year.
That was
wow.
yeah.
Yeah, that was grand.
You
know
do
what you're getting at
forget,
this point.
like you realise when you're older, you think, oh, the years went in dead quick, and then when you're actually recapping it, you're like, oh, that came out this year.
I was like with Peacemaker when I googled it earlier to look. I was Peacemaker with this.
Peacemaker and Boys both very enjoyable. I probably didn't like the finale of The Boys. Though,
Yeah.
every single thing else that they've
Yeah.
done, which I've loved.
The
Everything
finale
else,
was
I just thought.
okay,
The
but
bar
the
is
rest
so
of the
high.
season was was incredible.
But I think they just kind of bringing in the whatever thing using the superpower drug. That's it's like it was done very well. Like apart from I guess that fight in the house where if they're as strong as they're supposed to be, all three of them, they all just managed to stay in the big sitting room.
House,
like. Not even like they're mainly in the sitting room with that big, the kind of lounge or whatever. But that's one thing. Like, fair enough, it's a TV show, but with the just bringing all that element in, it was like, and like that just felt like the most natural time to kill Homelander. Now, like, oh no, we're getting another season out of it at least. Yeah. Just like, I was kind of just a bit, I just my suspect like my. And then it just made no fucking sense. Like, they could have dealt with like all your man did was really slap his kid. Like,
I love watching you turn like that, man. You're like, oh, it was really good. I love watching you turn on something like that. You come in like, oh yeah, it was really good, and then you remember something. You're like, wait a minute, it was garbage. Like,
but like, what happened? Your man slapped the kid. They're like, oh no, we don't want to hurt the kid's feet. It's still a fucking mass murderer, horrible cunt. Kill him when you get the chance. Like. I know another season or whatever, but it just felt like I would have preferred, like, hindsight, obviously, like, whatever the last season's going to be, I'd have preferred it to just kept, like, they could blow it out of the park and when we completely back, there's a very good chance of doing it, no matter even if they don't address that element. I just felt like the way they brought that in, it was just a weird way to resolve it, because it just... it's kind of like the end of Lord of the Rings 3. You just feel like it's over, and then you're like, okay, no, still not. It just didn't feel believable that they decided not to kill Homelander at that point.
With you talking about that, I sort of feel the same way. I agree with you that the Boys needs to kill more characters. Like Maeve was gone, and then they brought her back.
They brought her
like,
back.
What?
Who was that?
Maeve. Like they done,
but it wasn't. It was an off-camera. Wasn't the death?
But it would have been a satisfying ending.
Oh, sorry, no, at the end, the explosion.
It'd been a satisfying ending to her arc, and then they were like, "Oh no, she's just on crutches." It was like, what? And Stranger Things is the same. Stranger Things, I don't know if it's because they're kids, but they seem scared to kill characters, and for me, that doesn't raise stakes. I mean, some lazy storytellers use it as a quick way to raise the stakes, but for me, the stakes need to be raised by killing off some characters by your fourth season. Do you know what I mean? Which is that was the fourth season of Stranger Things, and this is the fourth season.
This is the last season of Stranger Things, isn't it?
I hope so.
Yeah, no, they're not doing two more.
Oh, I have no idea.
I think if I was to guess now, I'd say max 2 main characters are going to die. And is one of the characters called Max? I don't mean Max.
One of them is called Max.
No, I'd say if it's going to happen, someone will maybe be very close to death, maybe somewhere during the season, or die very early in the season, and someone else might die at the end. Or I'd be surprised if they kill off 2 main characters.
I think they're going to kill off like 11. They'll need to. Like,
I don't think so.
I also sort of feel like at this point with like Hopper, you've already done a fake death with him, so it's like, are you going to do that again? Do you know what I mean? It's like, I've already seen the bit with the kind of big Hadron Collider where you were like, oh, Hopper's dead. No, he's not really. He's in the Upside Down and he's in the prison and whatever. I did enjoy that. I mean, a lot of people didn't enjoy the Hopper stuff this season. I liked it, but kill a character, like give us some stakes, give us some proper tension.
Everybody's safe.
Yeah,
but it's kind of weird too when you hold everything off to the last season. Like I think I was listening back to that episode we did about it. They should have killed. I've forgotten all their names. Steve. Should have killed Steve. And kept Eddie. Yeah. And
well, that's the thing.
Kill Max.
The boy that plays Eddie. Spoilers by the way for Stranger Things. The boy that plays Eddie was on like, I don't know, one of the late night shows with John Oliver someday, and he got asked, "Will you be returned to Stranger Things?" And he was like, "Well, if the door's open, then I'll be there." And I'm like, "No, you're dead. I liked your character, but don't undo that feeling of grief."
Well, was that recent?
Yeah, it was like a few.
I don't think. I think he's dead.
Surely, but the way he said it sounded as if the way he said it. I don't know if you watched the clip, but it sounded as if he was hitting that. The Duffer's going to bring me back. I don't know.
Jamie, roll the clip. Jamie!
We need a Jamie! We need a Jamie!
Jamie!
On that note, until we get a Jamie, will we wrap up this?
Till we
2.5
get
hour
Joe
episode?
Rogan's funding. He should start like a funding for like podcasts, you know.
Do you know who Joe Rogan should get in the show, and probably will, knowing Joe Rogan? Andrew Callahan. That would be an interesting meeting of the minds, especially at this point.
Possibly.
I can totally see that. That's
Yeah.
the most Joe Rogan thing, is to get somebody on after. Anyway,
After
I have to
controversy.
press myself again. So thank you for bearing with my sort of flu, half asleep nature this episode. Cheers to the boys for carrying that a bit there.
Mostly Jerd,
yeah.
to be honest. I was
We
just kind
will-
of in limbo.
I was very tired. It
I appreciate
wasn't like last week where I completely fucked up the whole setup of the show because I was distracted playing the PlayStation
Oh, that's
game.
fine, yeah.
Because I listened back to it, I was like, oh, it's like, because I listen back to them because whenever I'm vain, and it's handy to get the time codes if I'm sometimes comment them on the YouTube. But Jesus Christ, I was just like playing the game. You asked me to introduce myself. I spoke for like half an hour about all the stuff I've been watching, and then I was like, "Hold on, did I start the thing that I was doing this wrong?"
Mate, well, it's not if we're on episode 30. We've been doing this for like more than a year. It's fine. We're still beginners. We're still learning.
fine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like when I listen back to like, I keep thinking like the Doctor Strange episode. I'm like, it's so hard for me to listen to because I just get so negative for like 45 minutes.
I love that. I love that.
I'm fucking stewing in it. Like I'm stewing in it.
my
Like.
favourite
Negativity
Jerd
is the
moments.
best. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Um,
No, because I can appreciate when I don't like something, and I can listen back and like, oh, that was kind of funny. It's just a very Irish thing of like, you can't say you're funny, like like
that's not. I mean,
like or some guy. I saw some guy on Instagram defending himself because he made like a parody comedy video,
Mm-hmm.
and he said something like even for me, like it's a very Irish thing, but he was like, "Oh, I didn't think there was anything wrong with making humorous videos." And then someone was like, "Don't fucking call your videos
Humorous, yeah.
Like, I say comedians too on like Instagram stuff like #funny. I'm like, ugh.
Don't funny.
I know I can kind of go on a rant sometimes, and it can be entertaining at least, but sometimes I'm just like.
Well, join us next week for another
rant.
We'll
watch,
the same chat.
We'll have to watch. We'll see what happens next week. Probably
I would like to do the most anticipated of 2023 next week. I think that'd be a good final sort of January episode towards the end of the month. Well, we've still got one more week left after that, but you know what I mean.
Can I answer Spider-Man? Yes, I can.
Whatever you like, mate.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What? No, we won't say anything now, but yeah.
Yeah,
Stuff is happening. It's a new year, new
TVs,
stuff.
comics, shit like that.
There's gonna be stuff for now we haven't even heard about yet.
But we might actually talk about comics. Oh my god.
Oh.
Comics. Spider-Man. Spider-Man. Oh, I wanted to try and upload, get the picture up of Peck Pack, the backwards bizarro version of Spider-Man. If you read it actually strangely fucking works, but you have to just really goofy. Yeah.
Version.
Yeah. Between that and Pregnant Joker is just why I'm not into modern comics.
Yeah.
Certainly,
honestly,
this is the reason why I wait till the trades come out and then I choose carefully what I read.
Yeah. Do you know what the funny thing? You remember I have often said that the comics I read was the English UK reprints.
Yeah.
And I saw someone commenting like this Spider-Man is a fan group for a podcast I'm on, but I never copped it because I was like. That they were cool because they could curate, so we weren't just reading one like all Amazing Spider-Man. We were jumping around to different titles.
Yeah.
Same with the X-Men. You get a different kind of idea. You're not just reading one exact series. Mm-hmm. You're reading the different versions, and you're getting all different things. But as someone said in that yesterday, was like, "Oh, when I read the Clone Saga during the '90s with those UK reprints, they did his view of it at least, and I didn't really think of this before, because they had a bit of time since." These comics originally came out, and they could kind of like edit a crossover event. So you could be like, "Well, look, this one was shit, so let's not put that in."
Yeah.
But this little part of it was very confusing.
Duration, I guess.
The time to just like, yeah. But I guess I really only thought that in such a way that you were getting a good mix, but how we could actually edit a crossover.
You get the highlights.
You're
getting the highlights.
Yeah, it's just an interesting thought. So yes, more going back in time and reading those comics.
Let us know if you thought that we were
talking rubbish
off or on that whole episode. Let us know what your favourite TV and GamesWare of the past year. I apologise for ending it tuned in to listen to TV chat and then just get 2 hours of game chat and 10 minutes of TV chat.
Yeah.
But anyway,
It'll be on the title. It'll be on the title.
Yeah, it'll be clickbait.
yeah, mostly game chat and some TV stuff. Yeah, tune in next week. We will be back talking most anticipated of next year. Drop us a like, a subscribe, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. Follow my FandomWire stuff. Video essays coming out. I'll link everything below. Check out for a consideration, and we will see. What was it you said earlier? Daddy's got a new.
Well, there's a big YouTube thing, so we're never going to get monetized anyway for these. But there's big changes to YouTube where they're like, if you curse in the first 15 seconds, or if there's cursing throughout your podcast or video, it gets demonetized. But they've retroactively done it for other ones too, so a lot of YouTubers are very fucking pissed off about that.
Scumbags. Anyway, thanks YouTube. Give us money.
Yeah. Give me the money.
What did you say earlier? Was it Daddy's got a brand new SmackDown?
Daddy's got a brand new SmackDown.